Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Survive for all. Demon God level talent, my skills never cools down. Chapter 1. Welcome to the world of giants. The sun sets and the scenery is picturesque. Among the rocks on a beach, Wang Mang hugged his knees with his hands and squatted between two rocks. The white t-shirt on his body was as dirty as a rag, and the curly hair on his head was knotted, like a bird's nest. This week, he has been really miserable. I was just lying at home playing with my phone, but suddenly I was transported to this deserted island and was forced to survive. This week, he hasn't taken a shower, brushed his teeth, or eaten a full meal. The most unbearable thing for him is that every time he poops, there is no paper and he can only dig it with his hands. Looking at his slightly yellowed fingers, he felt that no one could express the anguish in his heart. When I was a kid, I had no paper, so I could use leaves to wipe my poop on, but this was not possible on this deserted island because it was too big. Giant trees hundreds of meters high can be seen everywhere, and a coconut is bigger than my own room. Even the grass beside the stone is several people tall and is as tough as leather, which cannot be torn apart. He seemed to have shrunk countless times, and then was thrown into a desert island full of giant objects. In this dangerous desert island, even taking a dump has become a luxury. Next time I might as well find a stone chip to scrape it with, although it will hurt a bit. While Wang Mang was thinking, suddenly, the rocks above his head shook violently, as if something huge was crawling on it. Wang Mang's eyes widened, he turned over and hid deeper in the crevices of the rocks. Through the gap, you can see that outside, a two-story blue crab is crawling slowly. Each of its feet is extremely sharp, and the carapace all over its body glows with a metallic sheen. Wang Mang hid between two rocks and shivered. This week, he has seen too many giant things. There is no creature smaller than him on this entire desert island. The huge blue crab gradually moved away, and Wang Mang squatted among the rocks again. He looked at the endless sea in front of him, and the setting sun made his face red. He suddenly thought of the old man and the sea. Will I be trapped here for the rest of my life? You won't really have to watch this sea until you grow old, right? Wang Mang shook his head. No, absolutely not. He must strengthen himself and save himself. Properties panel. As Wang Mang said these words, a virtual panel appeared in front of him. Character Wang Mang. Inherent talent no cold stacking. Level LV1 0 100s. Physique 7. Spirit 6. Energy 15. Skill. Skill 1. Primary muscle strengthening consumes 5 points of energy to increase the muscle strength of the whole body by 20%. The duration is 60 seconds and the cooling time is 5 minutes. Note: muscle strengthening is a physical increase type, which will simultaneously improve the body's strength, bones, internal organs and other physical values in an all-round way to match the muscle increase. Rating 1 star. Skill 2. None. Skill 3. None. Wang Mang looked at the virtual panel in front of him and sighed. After he traveled to this desert island, he took the panel with him. At first, he thought his plug-in had arrived, and he was extremely excited. But later, he discovered that everyone had it. Yes, Wang Mang did not travel alone, but everyone traveled through it, and everyone who traveled through it had a panel. After traveling through time, in addition to carrying the panel with them, everyone also unlocked many functions. Just like the game, in the bottom corner of the panel, there are a series of functions such as create, decompose, backpack, forum, chat group, auction mall, etc. He didn't know how many people had traveled through Blue Star, but the chat group he was in alone had 100,000 people. And all of these people are Chinese who grew up under the red flag. On the first day after traveling through time, the group was very lively. Everyone was discussing how they traveled through time and what kind of strange sights they saw. But within an hour, the mood in the group changed. A large number of people began to send messages for help, and pictures of various monsters were also posted on the forum. In less than a day, 30,000 of the 100,000 people died. This horrific death rate made everyone walk on thin ice and tremble. The next day, another 10,000 people in the group had their profile pictures dimmed. On the third day, only 50,000 people died in the group. Everyone is in despair. If they die at this rate, I'm afraid everyone will burp in less than a week. But on the fourth day, something strange happened. All surviving Blue Star people disappeared, and their avatars showed, offline. In the entire chat group, Wang Mang was the only one left sending messages alone. Where are everyone? Let's talk. Why are you all offline? Why am I still here? Please come over, please, what is going on? Until now, 4 days later. As the sun set, Wang Mang squatted alone among the rocks, like a lonely old man. Everyone went home, and he was the only one abandoned on this desert island. What the hell is this situation? Wang Mang looked at the virtual panel in front of him and stared at the inherent talent column. No cold stacking passive skill, there is no cooling when releasing skills, and the status effects of releasing skills can continue to stack. Rating: 6 stars beyond the devil level. After traveling through time, each of the 100,000 people in the group actually awakened their own innate abilities. But everyone's talent evaluations are almost only 1 to 3 stars. There are only a few people with 4-star talents, and none with 5-star talents. But his awakened talent, Wang Mang, was beyond the 5-star demon god level. On the day of his awakening, Wang Mang was ecstatic. Think about it, if you play a game and your skills have no cooldown time, you can be super awesome just by playing as an assistant. This talent is simply a bug-level existence. Wang Mang should be happy to have awakened such a powerful skill. But now he extremely doubts that the reason why he has not been offline is because of this skill. If you think of traveling through this world as a state, after that state ends, everyone will return to the original world, just like entering some kind of skill cooldown. And now, his passive talent, no cold overlay, directly makes this state have no cooling time. Therefore, I will always stay on this desert island. In other words, he may never be able to return to Blue Star. The sun slowly set in the sky, and Wang Mang was still sitting alone among the rocks. He was really the only human being left in this world. He, Wang Mang, became a complete, left-behind child. Soon, night fell. The black cloth-like sky is filled with countless stars. As the sun goes down, the calm beach suddenly becomes lively. Wang Mang moved a few big rocks and blocked the gap between the two boulders. During the day, there are huge monsters that are tens of meters or hundreds of meters active, and they don't care about little ones like Wang Mang at all. At night, it is a paradise for all kinds of small insects and animals. Therefore, night is the most dangerous time for him. Because Wang Mang is too young, he huddled in a corner and tried to reduce his presence. By the way, he tightened his tight clothes. It was freezing on the beach at night, so his hands and feet were cold. As the sky darkens, the noise outside becomes more and more intense. There are insects everywhere, making a lot of noise. Suddenly, the pile of stones at the door began to shake, shaking and shaking in a very rhythmic manner. With every vibration, there are excited insects chirping outside. Wang Mang looked at the door and cursed in his heart. Isn't it? Are you here again? Spring is here, and it's mating season. Wang Mang clung to the gap between the stones and looked out. Sure enough, 2 huge ant-like bugs were stacked on top of each other, just like the frogs in the biology book. Do you want this? Do you want this? Wang Mang roared angrily in his heart. I, Wang Mang, have become a left-behind child and a lonely old man. They didn't have enough to eat or wear warm clothes every day, and they were forced to live in this rocky place and dig their shit out with their hands. Do you know what it means to pick shit with your hands? Have you ever experienced that feeling? It's dark now, and I just want to have a good sleep, but you still have to mess around in front of my house. Doesn't your conscience hurt? I put up with it the day before yesterday, but yesterday you went even further and even pooped in front of my house after doing it. Is this mud horse the work of humans? Do you still have a sense of public morality? But today, you are so lawless that you actually did it directly in front of my door. Aren't you afraid of damaging my door? Wang Mang retreated, leaning against the stone wall, hiding in the darkness. He held a long axe tightly in both hands. When all the Blue Star people come through, everyone will get an initial treasure box, which can open different rewards. And this long axe is the novice equipment he issued. Wang Mang stared at the constantly vibrating pile of stones in front of him, looking a little nervous. These monsters that look like giant ants are not easy to deal with, although they are the lowest creatures living on this desert island. But each one is about the size of a calf, and its body is covered with hard black carapace. Wang Mang had tried to attack them before, but when he struck them with an axe, he couldn't even break through their defenses. The black carapace on their bodies is too hard. At this time, the two bugs outside kept hitting the pile of stones at the door. Seeing that the pile of rocks was about to become unstoppable. Bang! There was a loud noise. Finally, all the piles of stones at the door collapsed. In an instant, two huge and ferocious ant heads squeezed in from the cracks in the rocks, only a few meters away from Wang Mang. He swallowed, his hand kept holding the long axe tightly, and cold sweat kept appearing on his forehead. The two giant ants in front of me were so big that their jaws opened and closed like two giant sharp scissors. This distance is really too close. He could already see the sharp jaws of the giant ant. If I were bitten by this thing, I'm afraid I would be cut into two pieces like a sausage. What should I do? These things have rushed in, and I'm afraid they will find themselves soon. How about fighting? No, 80% of the time we can't beat him. And even if he wins, there are still so many people outside, and he can't escape. Wang Mang was sweating profusely, holding the long axe tightly with both hands, staring at the two giant ants. As long as the situation went wrong, he would have no choice but to fight. As a result, 1 minute passed, 5 minutes passed, 15 minutes passed. These two giant ants are still immersed in the world of two. The loud chirping of insects became particularly harsh in this small space. From the initial nervousness and fear, to gradual numbness, and finally to the unknown anger burning in my belly. These two bugs are really too much. Do you think he doesn't exist? The harsh sound kept echoing in his ears, which was unbearable. Nima, I've really had enough. Dry. Holding the long axe tightly in his hand, he slowly moved against the wall until he was within 1 meter of the two insects. When these bugs reproduce, their vigilance becomes very low. They are completely immersed in their own world. Staring at the two happy bugs, he had to strike first, otherwise he would be discovered when they were finished, and he would probably die by then. Skill Primary Muscle Strengthening is activated. Muscle Strengthening increase plus 20%, energy minus 5. All the muscles in Wang Mang's body suddenly swelled, and his thin body became a little stronger. Skill Primary Muscle Strengthening is activated 2 times. Muscle Strengthening increase plus 40%, energy minus 5. The muscles in Wang Mang's body swelled again, and his body became bigger again. Skill Primary Muscle Strengthening is activated 3 times. Muscle Growth plus 60%, energy minus 5. After all the energy was consumed, Wang Mang had transformed from a thin boy into a burly muscular man. Tight muscles, raised blood vessels like earthworms, and 3 times primary muscle strengthening made his whole body full of strength. He firmly grasped the long axe in his hand. He was sure to kill these two bugs today. They were messing around in front of his house every day. Even if Jesus came today, he couldn't save them. Ah! Wang Mang let out a low roar and swung the long axe in his hand hard. He had studied these giant ants for a long time. Their carapace was as hard as stone, and their only weak points were at their joints. If you deal with this bug head-on, it will be too difficult to hit the joint with an axe. But now, these two bugs are mating, and their perception of the outside world has become very low, and they are completely defenseless. Puff! Wang Mang raised his knife and dropped it, and 2 huge ferocious ant heads rolled to the side. The whole world suddenly became pure, and there were no more insects chirping. Ding! Kill the LV3 Black Armored Beast, experience plus 5. Ding! Kill the LV2 Black Armored Beast, experience plus 3. Ding! The player completes the first kill and is rewarded white quality with a random equipment treasure box. Wang Mang was stunned. As he killed 2 giant ants, an illusory white treasure box appeared in front of him. This world is really magical. It's like a game. You can gain experience by defeating monsters and use equipment. Wang Mang was amazed again and again. He looked at the treasure box in front of him excitedly. He was very familiar with this thing as a game player. This was a good thing. Opening the treasure box in front of him, the entire treasure box turned into light spots and disappeared, leaving only a simple bronze ring in front of him. Picking up the ring, a piece of data also appeared in front of him. Equipment bronze ring, novice equipment. Type ring. Quality white. Attribute energy plus 5. Equipment effect after equipped, 1 point of energy will be automatically restored every 10 minutes and can be stored. Rating. 1.5 stars. Wang Meng read the data on the ring and quickly put it on his hand. As expected, the energy limit in his panel increased by 5. This world is so similar to the game. Could it be that I have time traveled into the game? If it weren't for the fact that this desert island was so real, he would have thought he was playing a virtual online game. Wang Meng retracted his thoughts and thought about how to continue living first. Looking at the 2 black armored beasts dead at the mouth of the gap, he hesitated and decided not to touch them. Just let their corpses block the door first, and then wait until the pests outside are over. Although the battle just now was very short, he was already physically and mentally exhausted. He shrank into a corner and did not dare to sleep. He could only squint his eyes and watch the door vigilantly. It wasn't until the sky became slightly brighter that the buzzing of insects outside slowly stopped. Seeing that it was almost done, Wang Meng hurriedly ran to the 2 insects, put his hands against the insect corpses, and silently said in his heart, "Decompose." In an instant, the 2 insect corpses turned into light and disappeared. Ding! Get the black armored beast's carapace X1 and insect meat X4. Ding! Get the black armored beast's carapace X1 and insect meat X3. After doing this, Wang Meng didn't stop for a moment and quickly started to move stones to block all the gaps again. Early morning. The entire beach has become calm. All the black beetles have buried themselves deep in the sand to avoid natural enemies. Wang Meng hid among the rocks and lit a bonfire with the lighter from the novice treasure chest. Then he took out a shell the size of a washbasin from his back, put the shell on the fire with stones, and a natural frying pan was completed. Then he took out a large piece of insect meat from the space backpack, cut off a large piece with a long-handled axe, and threw it on the hot shells to fry. Soon the alluring aroma made Wang Meng salivate. After waiting for a while, he eagerly grabbed the roasted insect meat and ate it with relish even without any condiments. In a week, except for the first day, this was the best he had eaten. He used to make a living by picking up shells. The smallest shell weighs more than 10 kilograms. If he eats sparingly, he can survive for several days. But to be honest, the shells don't taste very good. And every time he went out to pick up shells, he had to risk huge risks to go to the beach. Once, he encountered a huge blue crab 7 to 8 meters high from a distance, and he was frightened. Fortunately, he discovered it early and hid in the crevices of the rocks, otherwise he would have been driven out to sea by the blue crab. I remember when he was in Blue Star, he was called the Little Prince chasing the sea, and many blue crabs died under his claws. As a result, he was almost driven into the sea by a blue crab. Is this karma? Alas. After Wang Meng ate the insect meat, his whole body felt warm and his head started to spin. He had thought about these black armored beasts before. After all, they were only about the size of a calf. Compared with the giant beasts on the island that could easily reach tens or hundreds of meters, they were really quite weak. Unfortunately, the reality is very cruel. Wang Meng finally found a lone black armored beast, and then he reached full status, tripled his skills, and with one strike of an axe, he didn't even break its defense, and was almost killed in the end. After that, he never thought about these black armored beasts again. Later, after his observation, he found that the joints of these black armored beasts were their weak points. It's a pity that Wang Meng was just a student when he traveled through time. If you asked him to play basketball, sing rap, and be a trainee, he could still give it a try. But if you ask him to kill such a giant thing the size of a calf, covered in carapace, and cut its joints with a knife during the battle, this is really a bit difficult for him. However, last night's first kill gave him great confidence. This group of black armored beasts is simply the reincarnation of Teddy, playing and singing every day and every night. It seems that when they are mating, their perception will become very low, maybe they are stupid. Tonight he was going to take the initiative and try again. If it is really as he guessed, then the future meat food will be settled. And he opened the properties panel and looked at the 8 points of experience growing on the experience bar. Since you can gain experience by killing monsters, your strength should also increase after your level increases. Keep killing monsters, gain experience, and then improve your level and strength. This is probably my only hope to survive on this giant desert island. Wang Meng made up his mind that although he could not return to Blue Star now, he believed that he would always be able to find a way in the future. The sun sets and the stars rise, and soon night falls again. The calm beach also became lively. The black armored beasts crawled out of the sand one by one. While they were looking for food on the beach, they were doing breeding exercises in groups. Soon, bursts of cheerful insect chirping sounded throughout the beach. Under the shadow of a stone crevice, Wang Meng's sneaky figure sneaked out. He didn't dare to go too far, so he found a pair of lonely black armored beast lovers nearby. The result was just as he had guessed. The black armored beast's perception would become very poor when mating. Wang Meng came behind the young black armored beast couple, holding the long axe high in his hand, the axe blade shining coldly in the dark night. He raised the knife and dropped it, and the cheerful insect chirping suddenly stopped. Wang Meng quickly decomposed the body and left in a hurry. Throughout the night, Wang Meng kept looking for a suitable target. Until dawn, he hunted a total of 8 black armored beasts, obtained 8 pieces of black armored beast carapace, 26 pieces of insect meat, and gained 40 points of experience. This time during the hunt, he discovered that not all mating black armored beasts were unwary. It must be the kind of black armored beast that has completely entered the state to be dominated by pleasure. It's a pity that after hunting so many black armored beasts, not a single treasure chest was exploded. Isn't the explosion rate of this treasure chest too low? Wang Meng complained. But he was still very happy. He finally took the most critical first step and had the courage to kill the monster. Looking at these black armored beasts now, he no longer felt afraid. According to this progress, I'm afraid I can upgrade tomorrow. When he thought of this, he suddenly became a little excited. He used to play games and was famous as the Liver Emperor. Now, he can actually fight monsters and level up in reality, and he feels like he can explode. It was already bright outside, the black armored beasts had all hid in the sand, and peace was restored outside the beach. After a hard night, Wang Meng felt hungry, tired and sleepy. He took out his shell cauldron, cut off a large piece of insect meat, and had a delicious meal. Now he finally no longer had to worry about food. After eating, he crawled into the deepest part of the stone crevice, where there was a large shell. The shells clung to the stone wall, and water drops dripped along the wall. The water inside has overflowed, all of which is fresh water flowing from the cracks in the rocks. He used to watch desert island survival programs. The program always said that the first step to survive on a desert island is to find the fresh water resources on the island, and fresh water can usually be found in the crevices of rocks at low places. It was precisely because fresh water flowed out of the cracks in the rocks that he chose to settle here. After getting some fresh water to heat up, and after eating and drinking, Wang Meng hid in the corner of the stone crevice and continued to take a nap. He was so tired yesterday and he must have a good rest now to prepare for tonight's hunt. Another day, night falls. The calm beach is bustling again. This time Wang Meng was more skilled. He held a long axe and carefully climbed out of the stone crevice. As soon as the results came out, I found another pair of black armored beasts having fun next to my door. Can he bear this? When the sword is raised and dropped, experience +8. As he killed more black armored beasts, he became more courageous. As long as these bugs enter the excitement state, they will simply become stupid and won't resist too much at all. What's the posture of these two? You three came together. Amazing, amazing. Everyone else is in the small stone forest, but you don't go there and still go so far. You deserve your misfortune. This time, Wang Meng was more efficient. Before dawn, he had already hunted 13 black armored beasts. When the last black armored beast was killed by him, his body suddenly flashed, and a notification sounded in his mind. Ding, experience +4, level increased to LV2. Ding, level up, gain 5 free attribute points. Ding, the first person who completes the level improvement of this group will be rewarded with a random treasure box blue quality. Wang Meng's eyes turned green when he looked at another treasure box that appeared in front of him. I worked hard to kill more than 20 black armored beasts, but I didn't find a single treasure chest. Unexpectedly, I got a blue quality treasure chest directly after upgrading. Don't you fight monsters without exploding treasure chests? Wang Meng was a little suspicious, but he couldn't be sure. After all, he killed the lowest monsters. But now is not the time to think so much. He has to go home quickly and open the treasure chest. Wang Meng quickly left the place after putting the treasure box back into his space backpack and disintegrating the body of the black armored beast in front of him. As soon as he returned to Xixiao's home, he couldn't wait to take out the blue-quality treasure box. A delicate wooden iron treasure box appeared in front of him, with light blue light surrounding it, making people excited just looking at it. As he opened the treasure box, the entire treasure box emitted a dazzling light. The light disappeared, and several things appeared in front of Wang Meng. A small and exquisite transparent bottle, a shovel, a bag of seeds, and a few pieces of dark red ore. Wang Meng looked at the pile of things in front of him and was extremely excited. He quickly picked them up one by one and started checking them. Equipment: little magic bottle. Type: jewelry. Quality: blue excellent. Attribute: energy +5. Skill effect: the little magic bottle has the function of storing energy. It can store up to 100 points of energy and can restore its own energy value after use. After the energy is consumed, free energy in the natural environment can be absorbed for recovery. The higher the surrounding free energy intensity, the faster the recovery effect. Rating: 2 stars. Equipment: shovel. Type: off-hand weapon. Quality: white ordinary. Attack power: 1 to 3. Attribute: physique +2. Effect: can slightly improve the efficiency of digging. Rating: 1 star. Seed: fast-growing watermelon seeds. Quality: white ordinary. Effect: after planting, it can quickly bloom and bear fruit in a short period of time, and produce 3 to 5 fruits. After the plant dies, it turns back into a seed and can be planted again. The flesh and blood of monster corpses can accelerate growth. Rating: 1 star. Material: red iron ore. Quality: white ordinary. Effect: can be used for forging, weapon upgrades, etc. Higher quality ore materials can be obtained after refining. Wang Meng looked at the data information of these things, and his first feeling was that this was really like a game. He looked up at the extremely real environment around him, feeling a little confused. What kind of world have you come to? He picked up the small magic bottle on the ground and used it directly. The energy that he had just bottomed out was completely replenished in an instant. This thing is really easy to use, especially for me, it's an artifact. Although his talent without cold stacking is very strong, it also has 2 fatal flaws. One is that he has too little energy. Currently, his energy limit is only 15 points. With the bronze ring and this little magic bottle equipped, the energy limit is only 25 points. If primary muscle strengthening is released, it can only be stacked up to 5 times. But after possessing the skill effect of the little magic bottle, he is equivalent to having a spare energy limit of 100. Now, if the state is full, he can use primary muscle strengthening to be stacked up to a terrifying 25 times. 25 times primary muscle strengthening, which means it can increase muscle strength by 500%. This is 500% muscle strengthening. He felt like he could kill a cow with just one punch. Wang Meng calmed down and continued thinking. No cold stacking. In fact, there is a second weakness that is not a weakness, and that is the casting delay of the skill itself. For example, the casting delay of primary muscle strengthening is 1 second, but its skill effect can only last 60 seconds. So in theory, due to the delay in casting the skill, it can only be superimposed up to 60 layers of muscle strengthening state. These 2 problems are the biggest factors restricting his talent. If this world is really like a game, then I should collect more equipment that can restore energy and increase the energy limit. Secondly, you can also collect equipment that shortens skill casting time and increases skill duration. These will allow more layers of skill effects to be stacked. Quote, as the first piece of blue quality equipment he obtained, the little magic bottle was a perfect match for his talent. He picked up the shovel next to him again, with a look of disgust on his face. What kind of garbage equipment is this? What is its use? He picked up the ore next to him. He knew this stuff. It was used to make or strengthen equipment in the game. Finally, he carefully picked up the watermelon seeds with tears in his eyes. 10 days after traveling back in time, his mouth has faded away from the bird. Is this the time when the watermelon is finally free? And the watermelon rind after eating can be kept as toilet paper, which must be very refreshing. Wang Meng carefully took out a seed and planted it in a good place in the cave. He carefully received the remaining 2 seeds in his space backpack. He didn't dare to plant watermelon seeds outside, mainly because these black armored beasts were too beastly. If they suddenly possessed Teddy and dug holes in his watermelon, would he end up eating it or not? After checking the equipment in the treasure box again, he opened his attribute panel and looked at the 5 free attributes and thought for a long time. In the end, he added physical fitness to all attributes. Although energy is very important, my basic physical fitness is so bad that I would probably die even if I ran 1,000 meters. If you want to survive on this deserted island full of giants, increasing your physical fitness in the early stage is the most beneficial. With the use of free points, Wang Meng's thin body suddenly became stronger. It was as if a layer of shackles had been taken off his body. He felt that his whole body was full of strength, his body became very light, and even his slight myopia returned to normal. When he opened his clothes, he originally only had 1 big abdominal muscle, but now he could vaguely see 8. This kind of effect of becoming stronger in real time by defeating monsters is much more enjoyable than playing games. Open the panel and look at your current properties. Character Wang Meng. Inherent talent no cold stacking. Level LV2 2/200. Physique 14 12 plus 2. Spirit 6. Energy 25 15 plus 5 plus 5. Free attribute 0. The standard human limit unit is 10 points. Skill 1. Primary muscle strengthening consumes 5 points of energy to increase the muscle strength of the whole body by 20%, lasting 60 seconds. Rating 1 star. Skill 2. None. Skill 3. None. Wang Meng looked at his attribute panel and nodded with satisfaction. If according to what is said on the panel, his current physical fitness has surpassed that of the top athletes in the world. If he now reaches full status and superimposes primary muscle strengthening 25 times, wouldn't he be awesome? Wang Meng closed the property panel with satisfaction and calmed down his excitement. The more it is at this moment, the less likely one is to drift. His level is still too low now, and he must spend his early development period carefully. Looking outside the stone crevice, I found that it was still early and the insects outside were chirping very cheerfully. Wang Meng is no longer the hot chick he used to be. Since he can become stronger by killing monsters, he is going to explode now. So Wang Meng took a long axe in his hand and a shovel on his back, hunched over and sneaked out of the door. Ha, if you scream every day, all those young lovers outside will die. Grumble. Ah, Chi-Chi. Yeah. In the dark night, the death cries of the black armored beasts could be heard from time to time. Wang Meng fought hard until dawn, then dragged his exhausted body back to Xixiao's home. He moved a few big rocks to block the gap at the door, watered his watermelon seeds, and then huddled in the corner and fell asleep. He was really tired after killing the young couple who had been having S*X all night. He slept until noon. When he woke up, the beach outside had become very quiet. The watermelon seeds planted have sprouted and grown up. The sunlight falling between the cracks in the rocks falls on its leaves, making them green and full of vitality. Wang Meng remembered the method of accelerating growth mentioned in the seed introduction, so he took out a large piece of insect meat from his space backpack, cut it into small pieces, and buried it around the watermelon seedlings. Light the fire, set up the shell pot, and enjoy another meal of insect meat. The day before yesterday, he was so hungry that his chest pressed against his back, and he had to risk his life to find shells on the beach. But now, he can barely be considered free from insect flesh. After eating and drinking, he looked at the beach outside. Although it was broad daylight, he suddenly felt eager to try. As his strength became stronger, Wang Meng became more confident. He felt that he needed to go out for a walk. He did not want to be trapped in the crevices of this deserted island for the rest of his life. I packed my equipment and was getting ready to go out. Suddenly, the entire stone crevice began to shake, and an exaggeratedly huge crab leg was thrust into the sand at the door. Wang Meng stood still, his eyes widened, and his whole body was broken into a cold sweat. The crab leg at the door was thicker than his waist. Looking out from the gap, I saw a huge green crab more than 10 meters high crawling slowly. To it, Wang Meng was as small as a spicy stick. In front of such a terrifying giant, Wang Meng's newly emerged confidence disappeared. He clung tightly to the depths of the stone wall, not daring to make a sound. The blue crab searched in the cracks of the rocks but found nothing, so he ran into the sand and rummaged around. Soon, a black armored beast was discovered by it. With a pinch of the huge pliers, the hard carapace of the black armored beast was broken in half, leaving it defenseless. After eating, the blue crab was still unsatisfied and began to rummage through the cracks in the rocks and sand. It took an hour before he left with satisfaction. Another hour passed before Wang Mang dared to poke his head out of the crack in the stone. This blue crab is bigger than the last one. What the hell is this place? Quote. He shook his head. It was too dangerous during the day. With his small body, it was better not to go out. It would be better to stay at home. On the endless beach, Wang Mang squatted among the rocks again, admiring the scenery outside. He opened the chat group interface, looking a little disappointed. Everyone was offline, and he was the only one suffering here. Friends, when will you go online? I'm here alone. So lonely, so alone, so cold. He looked at the sea in the distance and murmured to himself. You must be having a good time now. So happy. Blue Star, Heishi. Inside a certain public security bureau. Young man, if you confess, you will be lenient, if you resist, you will be lenient. A middle-aged police officer had a serious tone and held a teacup filled with wolfberry in his hand. I advise you to tell the truth. You are still young and have a bright future. Don't waste yourself here. In the interrogation room, a college student in his 20s sat across from him and answered anxiously. Officer Joe, I really didn't lie. I really traveled through time. Officer Joe smashed the wolfberry teacup on the table and groaned angrily. Then wear one now and show me. Do you think I am a 3-year-old? Tell me the truth quickly. This matter is very serious. More than 1 million people across the country suddenly disappeared, which has caused an uproar on the internet. The country now attaches great importance to it and has dispatched a special investigation team. Quote. He took a sip of wolfberry tea and softened his tone. Young man, can't you do it? If you can't, I can help you. The college student opposite was immediately numb. Why don't you believe it? Officer Joe, I really did travel through time, and I also awakened my superpowers. I really didn't lie to you. At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door of the interrogation room, and several people in military uniforms walked straight in. Hello, Comrade Joe. I am from the Special Bureau. This case is a bit special. Please leave this student to our Special Bureau. Quote. Officer Joe was stunned. Looking at the other party's clothes, was he from the military? He looked back at the college student. What on earth did this kid commit? Soon, the person was taken away. And this kind of situation is happening all over the country. A secret base somewhere in China, codenamed 826. The full name of the 826 secret base is China Bureau of Foreign Information Exchange. This name is very unfamiliar, but it actually has a more friendly name, China Strategic Deception Bureau. In short, War Deception Bureau. All netizens are joking about the war situation, and almost no one thinks that there is really any war situation. But in fact, 826 is China's war situation in a certain sense. It is the most powerful and secretive intelligence department in China, with extremely high authority. This department has the world's top hackers, artificial intelligence, psychologists, information scientists. All China's secret technologies, important information, and even people's livelihood and economic information will be processed by them and then released to mislead other countries. Now, the leader of Bureau 826 is looking at the information report in front of him with a serious face. 10 days ago, more than 1 million people suddenly disappeared across the country, causing everyone to panic. As the most powerful intelligence agency in the country, when so many people suddenly disappeared, Bureau 826 immediately discovered the anomaly and attached great importance to it. As a result, they investigated for a long time and found nothing. These people just seemed to disappear out of thin air. It was not until 3 days later that these missing persons suddenly began to appear again. In the past week, they have discovered more than 500,000 people who have returned. After statistics, there are now 3 most important pieces of information in front of him. 1. Everyone said that they traveled to an unknown game world and obtained the identity of the player. 2. All are given a special gift. 3. Those who have not come back may have died in an unknown world. The leader of Bureau 826 pushed up his glasses. If the data hadn't been placed in front of him, he would never have believed such an outrageous thing. Come here, prepare the plane, we will go to the capital immediately. He looked at the hundreds of data in front of him with a solemn expression. The world of this world may be about to change. China's highest conference center. Each leader looked serious, the entire conference hall was silent, and a depressive atmosphere spread in the air. Various pictures are constantly playing on a huge display screen. Millions of people suddenly disappeared. Monsters invaded. Superpowers called players appeared. Doomsday remarks were flying all over the sky, and panic has spread around the world. Is the world really about to enter a countdown to doomsday? According to current big data statistics, a total of 1.4 million people should be missing across the country, which means that for every 100 million people, 100,000 people have disappeared. And this disappearance phenomenon is not limited to our country, it is repeated in almost all countries around the world. After being missing for 3 days, a large number of missing people returned, and all of them awakened superpowers. And those who have not returned, I am afraid they have all died in another world. And it's strange, after these time travelers died in another world, there seemed to be giant monsters that time traveled to Blue Star at the same time. The National Secretary General pushed up his glasses. He had confirmed this information many times and it was absolutely true and reliable. He paused for a moment to let all the top leaders digest the information. The top leader sitting on the main seat looked silent. If it were not for the content played in the video, he would not believe it at all. After a long silence, he slowly spoke. What is the current situation in the country? The Secretary General shook his head, looking serious. The current international situation is very bad, and the West, led by the lighthouse countries, is in great chaos. Their people love freedom so much that almost most of the returning superpowers refuse to obey the government, and they have even formed hundreds of anti-government organizations similar to the Avengers. The emergence of these superpowers has made demonstrations in various places more frequent, intensified racial discrimination, and increased the crime rate several times. Coupled with the doomsday rhetoric that is popular on the internet, many people are already on the verge of collapse. Quote, "The old man on the throne frowned. Now is the age of nuclear weapons. The collapse of a big country will have a huge impact on the whole world. What's more, now the whole West can hardly hold on anymore. Let all armies be fully prepared and enter the highest combat readiness state from now on. Although China is now very powerful, there are some things that must be prepared for a rainy day." The old man at the head of the table knocked on the table and continued to ask, "How is the situation in the country now?" The Secretary General sorted out the information and said, "The current situation in the country can only be said to be barely stable. After everyone disappeared, Unit 826 has responded as quickly as possible to control all networks and public opinion. As of yesterday, almost most of the returning players have been taken in by us, and most of the monsters have been taken in. The rest are hiding in no man's land, and we are sending people to search. But now we are also facing two problems. The first one is the super player. Although domestic information about players has been basically controlled, the external network has now been completely destroyed, and hundreds of thousands of monsters have appeared randomly across the country. Even though we have completely blocked the internet, a lot of information is still being leaked, and the emergence of super players may not be hidden for long." Quote, after listening to the Secretary General's words, everyone present became even more silent. The Supreme Leader rubbed his head. Superpowers, monsters, what happened to the world in a few days? If these news really get out, prices will skyrocket, house prices will plummet, and the economy will probably be in great turmoil and then fall into chaos. The entire conference room was quiet and depressing. It took a long time before the top leader slowly spoke. "Since paper can't contain the fire, let's release this news and let people across the country know the truth." As soon as these words came out, everyone present panicked. The top leader of the Ministry of Economic Affairs spoke nervously. "Chief, that's not possible. If the news of the emergence of superpowers is really made public, I am afraid that the talk of the end of the world will spread. At that time, everyone will definitely hoard supplies in retaliation, and the economy and public security of the entire society will collapse. There is no need to wait for the end of the world, society will be in chaos first." Several top sociologists nearby also agreed. "Chief, we are not ready at all now. It's better to hide it as long as we can, otherwise when society is in chaos, many of our plans will not be able to proceed. Quote. The supreme leader shook his head. His eyes were deep and he thought deeper and further than everyone else. I understand all this, but now is a special period. If this matter continues to be hidden, I'm afraid there will be even greater chaos. Quote. He has made up his mind that time travel is too magical, and there are hundreds of thousands of monsters appearing all over the country. This matter must no longer be hidden, so making it public is the best way. For a time, all the leaders in the entire conference hall were silent again. Although what the chief said makes sense, if he really does this, no one can predict the consequences. When everyone was silent, the director of Bureau 826 slowly spoke. I support the chief's decision. This incident has completely exceeded our current understanding. We must now unite the strength of everyone in China. And there are so many monsters suddenly appearing across the country, it's impossible for us to hide it. Quote. However, I think we can change the way we announce information about superpowers. He said, taking out a few books from his back. National Awakening. I awakened the 5S superpower. The world is frozen, I can return it billions of times, I will work hard in the last days. I recently discovered an interesting phenomenon. The occurrence of this incident is somewhat similar to the content of many fantasy novels. If we directly announce the news about superpowers, I am afraid it will cause panic among the whole people, because this kind of thing happens in the real world, and there is no other explanation except aliens and gods. Quote. The director of Bureau 826 looked at everyone and continued. Actually, we can put it another way. Scientists from China have discovered that there is a different world that is merging with the blue star. The chosen one will appear during the fusion process. These lucky ones who are selected will awaken their superpowers and can go on adventures in other worlds. The country has sent people to explore other worlds, and mankind will begin to enter the era of diversified universes. This will be a new era. Quote. After the director of Bureau 826 finished speaking, he looked at everyone. Everyone here is a smart person, and they understood the meaning instantly. If the information about the appearance of super players is directly announced, people will be afraid because of the unknown, and fear will lead to social chaos. But if we tell all the people when the information is released, China has actually been prepared for it. This is not the end of the world, but the beginning of a new era. It's spiritual revival. It's just a different way of saying it, but the effect is completely different. At that time, I am afraid that many people will hope to become the chosen one and then go to another world to adventure. After all, this is the only chance to obtain extraordinary power. The old man sitting in the main seat nodded slowly, rarely showing a smile. You young people will still find a way. That's right. Just do what you said and set up a detailed set of regulations later to implement them across the country as quickly as possible. Quote. This time, none of the leaders present objected. This is probably the best solution at the moment. Seeing that the issue has been decided, the Secretary General continues with the second report. According to current data, 1.4 million people across the country should be selected, but the number of people who have returned so far should be less than 700,000, including some people from the army and the country who have been selected. And those who have not returned may have died in another world. Based on the current data, we have reached a very bad conclusion. The number of these suddenly invading monsters may be equal to the number of dead players. Quote. After saying that, he pointed to the big screen, and saw a huge mantis 2 people tall appearing on the screen. The pair of mantis knife hands on its chest were very huge. With just a slight wave, a tree as thick as one person could be broken in half. In the picture, a dozen heavily armed special forces surrounded it, and all their guns were pointed at it. Facing such a giant, even the king of soldiers would not dare to step forward easily. Suddenly, a huge mantis flapped its wings and swooped over. All of a sudden, all the special forces started shooting, and countless fire snakes were flying. Although the defense of this mantis monster is very strong, it still cannot withstand the power of thermal weapons. Soon, it was beaten to pieces and fell to the ground. Just when all the special forces breathed a sigh of relief, the body of the mantis monster was continuously recovering visibly to the naked eye. In just a few breaths, it stood up again, its whole body unscathed. All the special forces opened their eyes wide. Resurrection from the dead. This has completely broken their common sense. What kind of monster is this? It can't be killed. Withdraw. The captain of the special forces waved his hand, and everyone retreated neatly while shooting. Soon, a huge tank appeared from behind them. Collapse. With the sound of a cannon, the mantis monster was blown to pieces again. But after a few more breaths, the mantis monster returned to its original state. It really couldn't be killed. Everyone in the conference room looked at the scene in front of them and became silent and stopped talking. A monster that cannot be killed, even if its body is broken into pieces, it can be restored to its original shape in a few breaths. One such monster is terrifying enough, but hundreds of thousands of such terrifying monsters appeared in China at once. The National Secretary General sighed and said slowly, "Judging from the current data, this monster is very strong alone and cannot be killed by thermal weapons. They seem to be protected by some kind of rules." Quote, "Where are the cold weapons?" Someone asked. "We have asked the top soldiers to use various cold weapons to kill them. Several successful cases have also shown that they cannot be killed." After the Secretary General finished speaking, everyone present frowned. What this means now is that if the selected player dies in another world, monsters from the game world will come back in their place. Moreover, this returning monster is protected by certain rules and cannot be killed at all. Doesn't that mean that if a large number of players appear, they accidentally die in another world? Then this world will be occupied by unkillable monsters. This is really disappointing news. At this moment, the director of Bureau 826 slowly spoke. "No, these monsters can actually be killed." He took out a video, played the scenes in it, and continued. "When I was taking in these players, there were situations where players and monsters were enemies. Moreover, several players have killed monsters with their own hands, and these monsters have not been resurrected. I suspect that if you want to kill these monsters, players must do it themselves, and they can only use weapons from other worlds." Quote, "As soon as these words came out, everyone started talking about it. So, these monsters are not invincible. As long as you can kill him, otherwise the world will really be over." After a long time, the old man at the head of the table patted the table, and the noise stopped instantly. He glanced at the director of Bureau 826 and said with satisfaction, "Xiao Zhang, what do you think about this matter?" The director of Bureau 826 stood up respectfully and bowed deeply to everyone present. "The people here are all seniors, and they are also my leaders. I will just say a few words casually. First, establish a college for superpowers. Take in all the superpowers and then set up specific schools to provide them with unified survival training. After they die, monsters will come back to replace them, so we must try to increase their survival rate as much as possible. Second, provide correct guidance to the whole country. Not all of the superpower players we are currently sheltering, there are still a few who are hiding outside and unwilling to contact us. They are a kind of unstable factor, and their extraordinary power may lead them to commit crimes. The road, we must pay attention to this. Third, find a way to be a player. Judging from the current situation, super players will become a strategic resource for each country. We must master more and stronger super players. This will probably have a negative impact on the future. It will have a major impact on the world structure, and is also an important way for us to truly surpass the West in the future. Fourth, this secret meeting lasted until late at night. This will be a major decision that will change the world. At this time, Daxia country, somewhere deep underground. A large number of researchers in white coats are busy. In the special glass room, a huge black armored beast had been decomposed by laser. Voices also came faintly from the laboratory. The latest experimental data has come out. It seems that no matter how cut and isolated, these monsters will eventually come to life on the largest pieces of meat corpses. As long as part of the monster's body leaves, these monster bodies will disappear directly within 1 minute and return to the monster's body. What about the incineration experiment? It's no use. Even if all the corpses are burned, chemically decomposed, etc. All methods have been tested, these monsters will still come back to life. This ability to be infinitely resurrected is a power we cannot understand. This kind of power seems to have no limit. Don't give up, continue to carry out other experimental research, maybe we can make other discoveries. Zhang Xiaolong is sitting in a military pickup truck. He is a butcher. His ancestors have been killing pigs since the Qing dynasty. This craft has been passed down to this day, and it can be said to be a unique skill. It is a pity that technology has developed so fast in the past 10 years. Electric shock has been used to kill pigs, and his craft is about to be lost. Just a few days ago, he was considering whether to change his career. Suddenly, he was transported to a different world. After finally coming back alive from another world, government officials came to his door the next day and took him away directly. He didn't want to go at first. As a result, the person who came told him directly that as long as he agreed, he could become a civil servant, with food, accommodation, and a room allocated, no worries, and 20,000 yuan a month. To be honest, this treatment is really great. As a result, he followed him in a daze. The pickup truck headed east and entered the desolate mountainous area. He doesn't know where he will go, but he believes that the country will not give up on him. He looked down at his wrist. The number on it was about to return to 0. He was about to go to another world again. In fact, he doesn't care about the treatment or anything like that. He just wants to survive in another world now. After driving on the mountain road for 7 or 8 hours, the pickup truck slowly stopped. Although the sky has darkened, the lights are still bright in front, and countless soldiers in military uniforms are busy. Welcome, welcome, here comes a new classmate. A middle-aged man in his 40s walked in front. He wore round glasses and had a friendly look on his face. Zhang Xiaolong had no choice but to shake hands with him. He was full of doubts in his heart and asked anxiously, "Hello, leader, I would like to ask, what is going on with me?" Principal Chen smiled and held his hand kindly. "Classmate, don't be anxious or nervous. The country has already made arrangements for your situation. You are a lucky candidate. You will serve as the country's advance team. Go to another world to explore." The two talked as they walked, and soon entered the base. Here, there are already thousands of super players like Zhang Xiaolong waiting here. Everyone was in groups, discussing enthusiastically. "Holy shit, Guzi, how come you've traveled through time too? Brother Pig, have you traveled through time too? Our entire class hasn't traveled through time, right? What do you think the country is planning to do by gathering us together? Shouldn't we be sliced into pieces for study? Probably not. I just heard someone say that they want to gather us for survival training. It seems that if we players die, monsters from the game world will come to Blue Star. Survival training, really? Great. Do you know how I got through those 3 days? On the last day, I was so hungry that I almost ate my own shit. Get out of here, you're so disgusting. The most I can do is drink my own urine. No, I can't wait any longer. I'm going to travel through time in another 20 hours. I'm going to find my squad leader now to learn more survival skills from him. Last time, I made fire with my hands. He's so bald, he doesn't even have a spark. Go together, go together. I want to learn some fighting skills and escape skills. The monsters over there are really scary. Ooh. I have been single for decades, but I am still a virgin. Can the state arrange for me to lose my virginity? With the continuous arrival of personnel, many of the country's top elites soon came to the base. The top biologists, botanists, psychologists, an outdoor survival expert with decades of adventure experience, the top group of close combat warriors in the army. All these national elites have become teachers. Start giving the most professional and quickest guidance to the thousands of people present. In 20 hours, players will travel to a different world. They must ensure that they use the fastest speed to enable players to master certain survival skills. Principal Chen looked at the scene in front of him, still a little unbelievable in his heart. He was originally the principal of a top university in the country, but his leader secretly transferred him here, saying that he wanted to be the principal of some super university. And there are hundreds of colleges and universities like this across the country. There is such a bizarre thing as time travel in this world. He has lived for most of his life, and this time has opened his eyes. However, the time was still too tight. In less than 1 day, they didn't know how much they could learn. Soon, 10 hours passed, and the intense study made everyone exhausted physically and mentally. At this time, all the players gathered together, each holding a bottle of potion in their hands. Principal Chen stood on the high platform and said slowly, "This is the latest sleeping pill developed by our military. It can quickly put you into sleep. In the next 9 hours, you must ensure adequate sleep. 1 hour before the crossing, I will wake you all up and prepare enough food and water so that you can have a full meal in advance." Quote. After saying that, all the players below started talking about it. It's really the right thing to follow the country. Even things like insomnia have been carefully considered. It's so stable for my country. I learned survival skills for a day today, and I feel like I will definitely be able to come back alive next time I travel through time. I heard from my squad leader that each of us will be given a gun, grenades and various supplies to see if we can bring them over. Really, I just learned to thief 6. I think it's better to bring some food and water. As long as I can survive for 3 days, I can come back directly. I don't want to fight those monsters. You guys think, if I hold the tank, can I also travel through it together? Your idea is so naughty. Principal Chen clapped his hands and asked everyone to go to sleep. 10 hours later, thousands of players were all ready to go. Each of them was wearing a Special Forces combat uniform and carrying a large tactical backpack on his back. Since many people are not in good physical condition, most people only carry pistols. Everyone present was fully armed, some were scared, some were excited, and some were still calling their families to say their final goodbyes. As the digital time on their wrists continued to shrink, with a snap, all the thousands of people present disappeared. Principal Chen looked at the scene in front of him and was stunned. Although he had known for a long time that these people would travel through time, seeing it with his own eyes still made him feel incredible. This world is probably going to change. Principal Chen murmured to himself. He looked at the sky. Countless stars were shining in the dark night. In the past, he would have thought that such a night sky was very beautiful, but now he only felt that in this endless black universe, there seemed to be some existence that was eyeing them humans. The appearance of players definitely has its reasons. My hometown, I live in this village. I am a native of this village. On the endless beach, Wang Mang sat among the rocks, frying insect meat in a shell pan while humming a tune from his hometown. He has been living a relatively healthy life in the past few days. Ever since he found the weakness of these black armored beasts, every night has been his hunting time. After several days of hard work, his level has reached LV3, and this time he added all the free attributes to his constitution, making his constitution reach a terrifying 19 points, which is close to twice the limit of ordinary humans. If he returns to Blue Star now, I'm afraid he can break most of the world records in the Olympics. It's a pity that he can't go back now. As his strength became stronger, he became more and more skillful in hunting black armored beasts. But even after hunting so many black armored beasts, he didn't even explode a single treasure chest. I don't know how to get the treasure chests in this world. Or should I kill monsters without breaking the treasure chests at all? Wang Mang shook his head. He did not dare to draw any conclusions now. I got up and ran to the side. The watermelon seedlings I planted had already produced several watermelons weighing more than 10 kilograms. As a magical seed grown in a treasure chest, this watermelon seedling grows very fast and matures almost every 2 days. The watermelon that bursts out of the treasure chest doesn't grow to a huge size. Alas, I was looking forward to it in vain. Eating watermelon and grilled worm meat at the same time, this life finally looks a little bit like. Looking at the sea in the distance, Wang Mang was a little lost in thought. I don't know when my compatriots will come online. It's so boring here. There's not even anyone to chat with. Moreover, the recent black armored beasts seem to have suddenly become wary. Could it be that I have killed too many recently? Or is it that they also have a breeding period? Is the breeding period about to end? After thinking for a while, Wang Mang made up his mind that he must speed up his hunting recently. If these black armored beasts really have a breeding period, then after the breeding period is over, they may not have such comfortable development time. I must upgrade quickly. When my level reaches level 5, I will go look around the desert island. Staying in this small stone lump every day almost drove him crazy. After finishing the insect meat and watermelon in his hands in 2 or 3 times, he picked up the long axe and took it out from the crack in the stone next to it. After staying on this beach for a long time recently, he seemed to have figured out some rules. Early morning and evening are actually the most dangerous times. Occasionally, giant creatures will come to this beach looking for black armored beasts to eat. At noon, probably because the sun is too hot, few creatures come. And now, it is noon. Wang Meng secretly found a piece of sand. He marked it specially last night, and there was a black armored beast hidden underneath. He picked up the shovel behind his back, rubbed his palms, and decided to dig out the black armored beast. He is no longer the hot chick he used to be, and a black armored beast is no longer his opponent. Dig, dig, dig. His super physique makes him full of endurance. At the same time, the skill effect of the shovel can also increase the speed of digging holes. Every time Wang Meng dug, he raised his head and looked around to prevent other creatures from coming. In less than half an hour, he had dug a large pit 3 meters deep and 5 or 6 meters in diameter. Even in order to increase the speed of digging holes, he also turned on twice the muscle strengthening. Just when the shovel was inserted into the sand pit again, there was a sudden metal impact. The black armored beast underneath seemed to feel the threat, and suddenly emerged from the sand, swinging its head and biting back. Unfortunately, what greeted it was a sharp long axe. Ding, kill the black armored beast, experience +3. Ding, get the black armored beast's carapace X1 and insect meat X4. Wang Meng packed up his things and sighed. After the recent level upgrade, the experience of this black armored beast seems to have become less, and the upgrade has become more difficult. Wang Meng left the sandpit and secretly changed places. There was also a black armored beast hidden in the ground. The digging campaign begins again. After working for 2 hours and killing 4 black armored beasts, he dragged his tired body back to the crevices of the rocks. Recently, it has become more and more difficult to hunt black armored beasts at night, and with less experience, it has become more and more difficult for him to upgrade. This was also the main reason why he went out hunting during the day today. However, the main reason why he dared to go hunting during the day was because of the courage brought to him by Little Magic Bottle and his 6-star talent. After returning to the crevice, he climbed deep into the crevice. A few dead leaves as big as a bed were spread here. This was his bed in another world. Lying on the bed, he opened the chat group on the panel, but there was still no movement at all in the group. Sighing, he launched a formal message in the group. Brothers, why aren't you online yet? I'm almost crazy. Today I killed 17 more black armored beasts. This thing is garbage to me now. Brothers, bring me some paper when you go online. Use wood chips to scrape it every day. My anus is swollen. Old fellows, are you going back to Blue Star after you log out? Can you help me tell my parents that I'm safe and that I'm living a good life now? After sending the message, Wang Meng lay contentedly on his little bed. Every day he goes to forums and chat groups, which is his only entertainment project. After visiting the chat group, he opened the auction mall again. It was empty, with nothing in it. He had tried it before. Items from the novice treasure chest could not be traded, but items decomposed by hunting the black armored beast could be traded. After thinking about it, he took out 3 black armored beast shells and 10 pieces of insect meat and hung them up, each priced at 1 gold coin. The auction mall function of this game is very simple and only has 2 functions. One is that you can exchange the monster materials you defeated into gold coins, and the other is that you can trade with the 100,000 people in the chat room. He has no interest in selling things. The purpose of hanging them up is just to test and see if there are people like him in the world. It's a pity that after waiting for a long time, no one was sold. It seemed that he was really the only one in the world. Well, sighing, Wang Meng continued to lie back on the bed of leaves to rest, waiting for nightfall. Soon, the sun sets, the stars rise, and night falls. Wang Meng scratched his chicken coop-like head and checked all his equipment. The quiet beach outside became lively again. However, compared to the unscrupulous chirping of insects before, the sound now is much quieter. With my current strength, if I encounter a lone black armored beast, I can actually kill it alone. Wang Meng thought for a moment, and realized that these black armored beasts were not human beings after all. They were not very intelligent and could not unite and cooperate. If you find a single guy without a girlfriend later, you can definitely take him away with 1 knife. Well, it's decided that we will kill those singles tonight. Wang Meng put on his equipment and sneaked out. This reminded him of the scene when he was a child and went to sea. You never know what you will gain tonight. As a result, as soon as he went out, he cautiously stepped back. He lay down in the crack of the stone, eyes wide open, staring outside. In the dark night, dense black shadows are gathering together. By the dim starlight outside, you can see a huge shadow 100 meters high, lying on the beach. And around it, countless dense black shadows were surrounding it. Looking carefully, it turned out to be a huge fish head, which was washed up on the beach by the waves. The head of this fish is a bit like a grouper, the mouth is very huge, and countless sharp teeth protrude, making it look ferocious and terrifying. This fish head is too big. I have never seen a grouper head more than 100 meters tall in my life. He swallowed, the visual impact was too great. At this time, the huge grouper head was surrounded by various figures. Giant blue crabs ranging from several meters to tens of meters in size formed a group, lying on the grouper to eat everywhere. From time to time, some debris was scattered, and the black armored beasts waiting anxiously gathered around. Even though it was already late at night, the entire beach was bustling with activity, and it was a rare occasion for them to hold a banquet today. Wang Meng looked at the situation in the distance and shook his head. It seemed that today was not a good time to travel. Just as these blue crabs were eating happily, the whole ground suddenly began to shake. Boom, boom, boom. Wang Meng's eyes were wide open, his face full of horror. What is this? This movement is too exaggerated. I don't know what kind of giant thing has come, and every time I move, it's like a small earthquake. Just when Wang Meng was in shock, he saw a giant foot reaching up to the sky, and a black giant ape with a height of 100 meters appeared in front of the beach. The muscles all over its body are strong and explosive. Every time it walks, it seems to be very slow, but in fact it covers several kilometers in just tens of seconds. As soon as this 100-meter tall giant ape appeared, all the blue crabs on the beach scattered and fled quickly. This giant ape is the overlord within 100 miles. Just by its appearance, these giant blue crabs dare not stay in front of it. Wang Meng hid among the rocks and swallowed. What world have I traveled to? The 100-meter tall giant ape came to the grouper's head and tore it hard. The whole grouper's head was torn in half by it. Then it sat by the beach and started eating. It took more than an hour to eat. Countless blue crabs were hiding in the distance, but they didn't dare to get close. On the other hand, those black armored beasts, because they are small enough and courageous enough, can pick up some leftovers at the feet of the giant ape from time to time. And the giant apes are not interested in these little bugs. After eating and drinking, the 100-meter tall giant ape stretched, stood up, and prepared to leave. As soon as it kicked down, the densely packed black armored beasts surrounding it were unable to dodge, and dozens of them were trampled into meat pies in an instant. However, the giant ape didn't care. To the huge ape, it was like trampling a few ants to death while walking. Soon, its figure disappeared on the beach. As soon as the giant ape left, many blue crabs appeared one after another and surrounded them. This huge grouper seems to be very attractive to them. Even if only some body parts are left, they are not willing to give up easily. Wang Meng stared at it for a long time, and he found that all the blue crabs and black armored beasts were particularly interested in the grouper's body, as if there was some kind of fatal magic power in the flesh. But no one paid any attention to the dozens of black armored beasts that had just been trampled to death by the giant ape. After staring at it for several hours, no bigger giant appeared around. The feast lasted until dawn. The sun rises slowly, and the golden sunshine fills the earth. The 100-meter-long grouper corpse was completely eaten, leaving only a huge fish bone lying quietly on the beach. The blue crabs left with satisfaction, and all the black armored beasts slowly sank into the sand. Wang Meng lay down close to the crack of the stone, memorizing the location where more than a dozen black armored beasts sank. Yesterday he rushed to the Navy and Air Force, and he will make up for whatever he said at noon today. Looking at the calm beach outside, after hesitating for a long time, Wang Meng's eyes were firm and he suddenly made a decision. Last night, all the black armored beasts and blue crabs around were probably full. Although this world looks like a game in some places, it is more biased towards the real world. After these giants are full, they may not want to eat again for a short time, and their aggressiveness will be greatly reduced. He looked at the huge fish bones in the distance and the rows of sharp teeth on the grouper's head. If I use the decomposition skill to decompose all these fish bones, I wonder what I can get. The level of this huge grouper must be high, maybe it can take off in a wave. Thinking of this, the impulse in his heart became even more intense. It's done. Those guys should have been full yesterday and they shouldn't be interested in short ribs like me. The status of his little magic bottle is now full, with 100 points of energy stored in it. If he encounters danger and the 25x muscle strengthening effect is fully stacked, he should have no problem at least escaping back into the cave. Thinking about it this way, the certainty of success becomes even greater. Wang Meng packed up his equipment excitedly. In order to wait a minute run faster, he even took off his pants. Anyway, no one saw him walking Big Bird on this desert island. Climbing out of the gap, lowering his body, he quickly dived towards the grouper's skeleton. Sure enough, just as he thought, it was calm along the way, all the monsters around him had eaten and drank enough, and no one cared what he wanted to do. Wang Meng soon came to the fish bones of the huge grouper. Looking up, a fish skull alone is hundreds of meters high. The huge mouth is covered with densely packed fangs, and when you touch it with your hand, it even feels cold like metal. If such a monster appeared in the deep sea of Blue Star, even a nuclear submarine could be bitten in half by it. Circled around the fish skull, Wang Meng swallowed unconsciously, feeling the horror of this world again. This sea is too scary. How can such a powerful monster be preyed upon by other creatures? He looked back at the endless sea in front of him. There must be more advanced predators under the sea. Taking back his thoughts, he is just a little kid with a height of only 1.8 meters. This kind of thing is not something he can think about now. Gently raise your right hand and place your entire palm on the skeleton of the giant grouper. Break down. As he finished speaking, the entire huge fishbone began to emit a faint light. Normally, it only takes a moment to decompose the black armored beast, but this time it took an extremely long time to decompose it. Half an hour passed before the giant fish bone, which was 100 meters long, was slowly decomposed and turned into little stars, all of which dissipated. Bite, bite, bite. When the decomposition is completed, a beeping sound will continue to sound in the panel. But at this time, Wang Meng was no longer in the mood to read the message. Because the moment the grouper bones disappeared, 3 giant blue crabs 5 to 6 meters high suddenly appeared in front of him. Its huge and ferocious body and carapace as hard as steel can easily crush the giant pincers of a car. After these blue crabs had eaten and drank enough yesterday, they actually settled in the grouper's skull. Chapter 11. The 3 blue crabs slowly stood up and moved around. The sudden disappearance of the grouper bones made them a little confused. They still didn't know what was going on around them. Wang Meng's whole body was stiff and his eyes were wide open. Looking at the 3 exaggeratedly huge blue crabs in front of me, I swallowed. At this time, there was a cold sweat on his back. This is a big joke. This fish head is so fishy inside, why did you make a nest in it? He stepped back slightly, twisted his waist, and ran dozens of meters away in an instant. While running desperately, he also began to stack skills continuously. The 3 blue crabs looked at the spicy strips running in front of them, their eyes still full of doubts, but looking at Wang Meng's running back, their appetite quickly came back. Although they don't know why a piece of food suddenly appears in front of them, their instinct tells them that the food that escapes is the best. They don't mind another breakfast. The huge 8 legs moved quickly, and the huge body raised a burst of dust on the beach. Crabs can crawl very fast, let alone this 5 to 6 meter tall giant crab. Even though Wang Meng had already started running ahead of schedule and surpassed the top sprinters in mankind, the distance between them was still quickly shortened. I'm afraid it won't be long before Wang Meng will be driven back into the sea by these crabs. Grass, grass, grass. Wang Meng ran quickly while talking about the quintessence of Chinese culture. He can't die here. How can he die here? Ah, a low growl. Primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening. This is probably the most dangerous situation Wang Meng has encountered since arriving on the desert island. He kept using skills, and with every passing second, his figure became stronger. Primary muscle strengthening x 5 times, muscle strengthening increase rate is 100%. Wang Meng's lean body became burly, and the 8-pack abs on his abdomen instantly became more protruding. Primary muscle strengthening x 10 times, muscle strengthening increased by 200%. Wang Meng's figure swelled again, like a muscular man who had just walked out of the gym. Primary muscle strengthening, x 25 times, muscle strengthening increased by 500%. At this time, Wang Meng's shirt had been completely torn by him, and his entire body was covered with muscles that looked like steel. His size has increased several times. Every time he runs, the muscles all over his body are like lumps of flesh, densely packed together, full of extreme explosive power. If he appeared in Blue Star's fitness circle at this moment, he would probably be sought after and obsessed by countless fitness people. This is the most perfect muscular body of human beings. 3 blue crabs were approaching quickly. They were very fast. Even though Wang Meng's speed had increased several times due to his strengthened muscles, he still couldn't outrun these giant green crabs. The fastest blue crab was already only a few meters away from Wang Meng. It's a little strange, the spicy strips in front of me are actually bigger than before, but it doesn't matter, the bigger ones taste better. Its tall vertical eyes revealed a greedy look, and its 2 huge pincers were like bulldozers. It swung violently, raising a cloud of sand and dust. At this time, Wang Meng had already noticed the movement of the blue crab. 25 times of superimposed primary muscle strengthening has allowed his muscle growth to reach a terrifying 500%. Coupled with a 19-point physical fitness, his current strength has exceeded 10 times the human limit. The sea breeze blew past his ears, and he felt that all the muscles in his body were full of strength. The heart beats rapidly like an engine, and the blood surges through the veins like water. This extraordinary power made his blood boil all over and his adrenaline surged rapidly. Cool. At this time, the desire to fight in his heart had filled his entire brain. When he was a child, his name was not actually Wang Meng. Because he has been weak and timid since he was a child, he has always been bullied. So his father changed his name. He still remembers what his father said to him. Son, don't be afraid. You are not wrong, you are just too kind. From now on, if anyone dares to bully you, you will fight back tenfold. As long as you are reckless enough, no one will dare to bully you. Quote. While running as hard as I could, my father's talking face appeared in my mind. As long as I am reckless enough, no one will dare to bully me. As long as I am reckless enough, no one will dare to bully me. As long as I'm reckless enough. With a low roar, Wang Meng's eyes suddenly became firm, and his muscular body suddenly stopped suddenly. Lower your waist, turn around, punch like a bow, like a dragon or a snake coming out of a hole. All his muscles tightened again and became more swollen. Give me. Die. Bang. A violent muffled sound echoed through the sky. In the flash of lightning, Wang Meng actually dodged the blue crab's attack and turned around to kill a carbine. This punch directly dented the entire abdomen of the blue crab. The body weighing more than 10 tons also shuddered and took a few steps back. But this was not over yet. While the blue crab was being hit hard and retreating, Wang Meng held a long axe in his left hand and a shovel in his right hand. Die to me. With a fierce leap, the long axe slashed across. The long axe in his hand, with a force 10 times the human limit, easily broke through the thick carapace of the blue crab and embedded itself into the blue crab's face. With another hard pull, the blue crab's entire head was cut in half. In just a few breaths, the big green crab that was still so aggressive just now was chopped down by Muscle Wang Meng with an axe. He jumped on the back of the blue crab, raised the shovel high in his hand, and swung it down violently. The shovel was instantly inserted deeply into the blue crab's carapace. Then he pulled hard, and the entire carapace was cut in half by him, and the crab roe flowed all over the floor. Wang Meng stood on the back of the blue crab, full of murderous intent. At this moment, he exists like a king. The other 2 blue crabs that were chasing after them suddenly stopped when they saw that their companion was dead. They are not actually hungry, they were very full yesterday. At this time, they saw that the little thing in front of them actually killed their companions, and they already wanted to quit. After hesitating for a moment, they soon turned and walked away. In this desert island, they are just the lowest predators and are not very courageous. Looking at the blue crab retreating, Wang Meng breathed a sigh of relief. His 25 times muscle strengthening can only last for a few dozen seconds at most. If they really had to fight, he would only have a 50% chance of winning. Jump off the blue crab's back and quickly decompose the blue crab's body. Wang Meng didn't have time to read the previous message, so he quickly left the beach with his weapon. Now that the little magic bottle has been used up and all the energy has been exhausted, he has no trump card. Wang Meng dragged his tired body back to Shitu's home, then picked up a few big rocks and blocked the gap at the door tightly. After doing all this, he lay down tiredly on his leaf bed, picked a watermelon and ate it. Today he was still too impulsive and almost died on the beach. But this can't be blamed on him. He had been observing the grouper carcasses for more than 10 hours before, and originally thought that all the blue crabs were gone. Who knows how many are hiding inside the fish head? But Wang Meng opened the panel and smiled like a fool. He really got rich overnight this time. Lying on the bed, I found a comfortable position. He opened the properties panel, and messages popped up eagerly. Ding! Get 1086 Dragon Grouper Teeth. Material: Dragonite Teeth. Quality: Purple Rare. Effect can be used for forging, weapon upgrades, potion making, etc. Rating: 3 stars. Ding! Get 58 copies of Dragon Grouper Bone Marrow. Material: Dragonite Bone Marrow. Quality: Purple Rare. Effect: taking it directly can quickly restore energy and slightly increase basic attributes. Can be used for potion making, food making, etc. Rating: 3 stars. Ding! Get a Dragon Grouper Skull. Material: Dragonite Skull. Quality: Purple Rare. Effect can be used for armor making, building strengthening, etc. Rating: 3.5 stars. Ding! Get 362 Dragon Grouper Bone Spurs. Material: Bone Spurs of Dragon Grouper. Quality: Blue Excellent. Effect can be used to strengthen weapons, arrows, equipment, etc. Rating: 2.5 stars. Ding! Get 6 pieces of Dragon Grouper Fish Meat. Material: Fish Meat of Dragon Grouper. Quality: Blue Excellent. Effect can be used to make food, medicine, etc. Rating: 2.5 stars. Ding! Kill the green crabs, experience plus 15. Ding! I got a carapace of a small blue crab. Ding! Get 10 pieces of crab meat. Ding! Get 2 copies of crab roe. Ding! Get a pair of blue crab claws. Wang Meng opened his space backpack, looked at the materials filled everywhere in front of him, and smiled like a child. Risking his own life and running to the beach was indeed the right choice. He took out a fish bone from his backpack. Touching it gently, the fish bone of this dragon grouper has the texture of white jade and the toughness of metal. This fish bone alone was more than 2 meters long. With a gentle poke, a hole was inserted into the stone wall. It's so sharp, it can be used as a spear. He has been using the decomposition function recently and discovered some of its rules. After decomposing monsters, only specific materials will be obtained, and the items will become smaller and fewer. Just like that big blue crab, it weighs more than 10 tons, but after decomposition, only less than 1 ton of material is left. However, the quality of the materials obtained by decomposition will be correspondingly concentrated and strengthened. It seems that all the unimportant parts of the corpse will become the essence and integrated into the produced materials. Just like the fish bone in his hand, although it is much smaller than before it was decomposed, its qualities in all aspects have been greatly enhanced. Hey, there is no strategy guide in this world. How can such good materials be made into equipment? Shaking his head, he took out another portion of Dragon Grouper bone marrow. The white jade-like bone marrow is packed in a glass bottle. When you open the bottle cap, a rich milky aroma will hit your face, with a light fishy smell. This scent made him swallow unconsciously, and his appetite suddenly increased. The battle with the blue crab just now had left him physically and mentally exhausted, and his body's energy had been exhausted. Without hesitation, he drank a bottle of Dragon Grouper bone marrow in one gulp. As soon as it entered my stomach, my whole body became warm. Wang Meng opened the attribute panel and found that all his energy had been restored to full, and even the recovery speed of the little magic bottle began to increase slowly. And his physique actually increased directly and permanently. Character: Wang Meng. Inherent talent: no cold stacking. Level: LV3, 158 400ths. Physique: 20, 18 plus 2. Spirit: 6. Energy: 25, 15 plus 5 plus 5. Skill: Skill 1. Primary muscle strengthening consumes 5 points of energy to increase the muscle strength of the whole body by 20%. The duration is 60 seconds and the cooling time is 5 minutes. Rating: 1 star. Skill 2, none. Skill 3, none. Wang Meng was overjoyed when he looked at the 57 bottles of organal fish bone marrow left in his space backpack. Without hesitation, he took out another bottle and drank it in one gulp. A wave of heat exploded in his stomach, making his face flush and making him feel dizzy. Can this thing still catch your head? At this time, it was like he had drank a pound of liquor in one breath. His whole head felt dizzy and swollen, and his body seemed to be filled with something. It took more than an hour for him to recover a lot. When I opened the properties panel, I saw that the physique only increased by 0.8. It seems that you can't eat this thing all the time, and the effect of increasing basic attributes is also weakening. However, the energy restoring effect of this organal fish bone marrow is quite good. It is equivalent to having 56 copies of the weakened version of the little magic bottle. Thinking of this, his head suddenly became excited. Killing the blue crab today made him suddenly feel confident. Unknowingly, he has actually become so strong. I'm tired of eating ant meat every day. Tomorrow I want to eat crab sticks every day. He put his hands on his hips and smiled. Sooner or later, the island would surrender under his feet. As for him, Wang Meng, who was once the little prince who chased the sea, is finally coming out of the mountain. Just as he was lying on the bed having S*X, the chat group in the lower left corner of the properties panel suddenly lit up. Players, it's finally online. The next day, Wang Meng got up early. He pulled his CK head a few times to make himself look more handsome. Then he walked to the shell reservoir, took a luxurious spoonful of water, and washed his face clean. His only T-shirt had been killed in yesterday's battle, so he had no choice but to make a simple piece of clothing out of leaves. Next time he goes to fight, he must take off his pants first, otherwise he will really have to run naked on a desert island. He was humming a little tune while sitting upright. Today is an important day for him, because his adorable compatriots are finally online. Excitedly opening the properties panel, the previously quiet chat group was already bustling with activity, with thousands of messages scrolling continuously. The message for help he sent before had already been flooded by the massive amount of messages that flooded the screen. Brothers, everyone is not dead. Pistols can't kill these monsters at all. You can only use the equipment in the game to cause damage to them. It's upstairs. I've thought of this a long time ago, so I keep compressed biscuits and water in my backpack. From now on, I will live on until the end of the world. +1. +1. The bunch of cowards upstairs. This is an extraordinary world, there is no point in coercing. I have awakened my 3-star talent, today is when I, Zhang Tiandi, take off. A handsome photo looking down from the top of a Special Forces combat uniform. The people upstairs are not afraid of death, so just go ahead. A 3-star talent is nothing. I'm a 4-star talent, and now I'm still digging in the mud. This start is simply hell mode. Is Emperor Zhang Tian still there? Why did he suddenly stop talking? You're not really going out, are you? I guess it's already gone. Emperor Zhang Tian, are you still there? Brothers, the monsters outside are so scary. Who can protect us? Hey, hey, hey. I'm going to kill the monster upstairs. I just want to ask if anyone sells equipment. It cannot be sold. The equipment obtained from the novice treasure chest cannot be auctioned in the mall. I just went to the mall to take a look at the auction. There is a big guy selling insect meat. He is really awesome. Did he kill 3 monsters and drink it as soon as he went online? Holy crap, there really is. Are people so fierce nowadays? Wang Meng looked at the lively chat group with tears in his eyes. A man was trapped on a desert island with no one to talk to. He was really lonely. Rubbing his hands, he quickly sent a message in the chat group. Brothers, have you brought any paper? As soon as this message was posted, countless question marks appeared in the group. Quote ? I'm going to die, and I still have this piece of paper with me. It only lasts for 3 days. After you're done, why don't you just rub it on the ground to wipe your butt? I didn't bring any paper, I only brought my paper man wife and a photo album. Even if I die, I will die with my paper man wife. A photo of an island teacher wearing a white silk JK sailor suit that looks like it's not worn. Brothers upstairs, let's make friends. Ignore him upstairs, he wants to sleep with your wife. Be friends with me, I will only love and protect your wife. +1, +99. Wang Mang laughed while standing in the water. Sure enough, the happiest thing is hanging out with friends. He stayed in the group for more than 2 hours before he left the chat group with satisfaction. They are different from everyone else. They can go offline, and they can even bring a small amount of supplies after returning to Blue Star. But he can't, he can only stay in this game world forever. Recently, as he becomes stronger and stronger, he has solved the food problem. But the conditions are too difficult for a person to live on this desert island. He urgently needs to improve his quality of life. The chat group is full of water friends and cannot solve his problem at all. He opened the forum in the lower left corner. Compared with the unreliable group members in the chat group, the forum was much more serious. The forum is also very lively at this time. Players just went online yesterday, and today there are more than 1,000 new posts on the forum. And these posts are serious. Sharing survival experiences. About my experience in hunting monsters. Someone teaches you how to dig traps. There are also a series of posts about collecting monster illustrations, collecting materials, making living tools, etc. Wang Mang opened the collection series and then published a post collecting various daily necessities. He is ready to exchange the monster's meat and materials for the necessities of life. For example, toothpaste, toothbrushes, clothes, shoes, various seasonings, and especially toilet paper. He is already so strong, and he will never let his anus suffer any further grievances. After posting the post, he started browsing the forum. Soon, he made some surprising discoveries. It turns out that making weapons requires weapon-making blueprints. Someone actually opened the blueprint directly from the novice treasure box. Are you using Yang Shou to travel? This cow, how to rub soap on a desert island. This is stronger, how to rub land mines with your hands. Holy crap, you actually want to teach me how to make a generator. This is secrets of raising pigs in another world. Postpartum care of sows. What the hell? After shopping around for a while, Wang Mang opened the mall auction again. As players come online, many products have appeared in the previously empty auction mall. But almost all the products were just materials for low-level monsters, and not a single weapon blueprint was seen. Wang Mang shook his head in disappointment, but he felt relieved after thinking about it. The monsters in this other world are too powerful. Even if everyone has awakened their talents, only a few people can actually complete the first kill. There are few products now, which is understandable. However, he believes that as players continue to grow, the products of the auction mall will become more and more abundant, and its role will become more and more important. After visiting the auction mall for a while, he exchanged the shell of the black armored beast and some insect meat for 500 gold coins, then bought a monster material and left. He took out the monster material he had just changed and looked at it up and down. Material, slime membrane. Quality, white ordinary. Effect, the skin left behind after the slime dies has strong flexibility and ductility. Can be used for equipment production, equipment strengthening, etc. Rating, 1 star. Holding this light green translucent membrane in your hand, you pulled it gently and it expanded rapidly like rubber. He just went to the forum and found a technical post on making clothes. So on a whim, I bought this slime skin. Normally during a battle, if his combat power is fully activated, his strengthened muscles will cause his body to swell, and ordinary clothes will be torn in an instant. So after seeing the slime membrane, he suddenly wanted to make himself a rubber coat. In this way, after each battle, you don't have to walk around naked. Opening the stickers for making clothes in the forum, he picked up the long axe and started making gestures. Soon, a crooked and ugly piece of clothing was finally completed, and with the remaining scraps, he also made slime underwear. After finishing the clothes, he took out the little green crab's back armor from his space backpack. After the entire carapace was disassembled and extracted, it was only the size of a car door and weighed about 50 or 60 kilograms. He followed the forum's post on making equipment and made a simple shield. Netizens are all really talented. How come they all turn into technical geeks just by going offline? They can even create guides for things like shields. Put on your slime underwear and carry the completed blue crab shield on your back. He felt more confident about the hunt that awaited. After checking the weapons and equipment again, Wang Meng sneaked out through the gap. He first went to the location marked yesterday, dug out 7 to 8 black armored beasts and killed them. Then he ran to a pile of rocks and lay down to watch from a distance. 100 meters ahead, a small green crab 5 to 6 meters high was looking for food in the cracks of the rocks. After observing for half an hour, and after confirming that the little green crab was a single dog, he slowly took off the shield from behind. He carefully walked through the cracks in the rocks and soon reached the back of the little blue crab. However, the creatures that live in the wilderness all year round are very alert. Before Wang Meng's sneak attack was launched, the 5 to 6 meter tall blue crab had already noticed something unusual. With its 2 vertical eyes and 1 horizontal eye, it spotted Wang Meng in an instant. The 8 legs crisscrossed each other quickly, and the pile of rocks was like walking on the ground. Within a few breaths, this behemoth had already arrived in front of Wang Meng. But at this time, Wang Meng was well prepared. He had already unleashed his fighting power and turned into an extremely burly muscular man. 2 huge pliers came at each other. Wang Meng did not hide, he raised his hand directly, and the terrifying impact was completely blocked by the shield. Wang Meng's veins were already popping out at this time. Although his physique has reached 10 times the human limit, he is still at a disadvantage compared with this tank-like monster. Ah! With a low roar, Wang Meng exerted force on his waist and instantly pushed away the 2 huge pliers. Taking advantage of this gap, a huge fish bone about 2 meters long appeared in his hand. Pressing his legs down and leaping suddenly, Wang Meng jumped more than 10 meters high in an instant. His waist is curved like a bow, and his 8 exaggerated abdominal muscles are fully highlighted, with terrifying explosive power brewing within them. He held the fish bone tightly in his hand and stabbed it hard. Bah! A harsh grinding sound. With the terrifying power, this shot was extremely fast. With just 1 blow, Wang Meng directly penetrated the giant creature in front of him from bottom to top, so that the entire huge fish bone was embedded in the blue crab's head. Billy! Billy! After several painful whines, the giant thing in front of him fell to the ground. As he continued to hunt monsters, his fighting skills became more and more proficient. Soon, Wang Meng's burly body of more than 2 meters slowly shrank and turned into that ordinary boy again. He lowered his head, looked between his legs, and showed a satisfied smile. Not bad, not bad. These slime underwear are really easy to use. I won't have to worry about losing my clothes anymore. After breaking down the green crab in front of him, putting his equipment on his back, he started looking for the next target. Thinking about it a few days ago, he had never killed a chicken and could only squeal when he encountered a monster. And now, a few days later, he is already a qualified monster hunter. It was not until evening that Wang Meng dragged his exhausted body back to the crevices of the rocks. After making himself a delicious crab stick and picking a watermelon, he opened the chat group again. On this deserted island, his only form of entertainment is the water. Brothers, look, I just killed a monster. Are you awesome? A picture of a monster's body. The guy upstairs is awesome. Zhang Tiandi, you are not dead. Did you really kill monsters? Aha, this monster is so disgusting. I have never seen a cockroach as big as a pig. Ah, I dare not approach such a disgusting monster through the screen. Are you too brave? +1, +1. I also want to hunt monsters, but what I awakened is a 1-star talent, garbage decomposition. This ability is of no use. What I awakened is a 1-star talent, singing, dancing and rap. I feel like it would be a pity if I don't become a trainee. What I awakened is a 2-star talent, fishing master. But the place I traveled to doesn't even have a lake, so it's completely useless. Well, what I awakened is a 3-star talent, young woman killer. I went back to Blue Star to try it out, and it works pretty well. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. Quote question mark 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 quote. I admit I'm attracted to it. Does it feel good upstairs? Thief Sao, you and I are at odds with each other. +1, +1, +99. Wang Meng looked at the lively chat group and smiled happily. He quickly posted a photo in the group. A huge blue crab 5 to 6 meters high was lying on the ground. He was holding a long axe in his hand and a huge shield on his back. He stepped on the head of the big blue crab, looking very domineering. As soon as the photo came out, all the friends in the group were excited. Isn't this crab too big? Is this similar to a tank, or a crustacean crab? Can humans kill this thing with bare hands? Boss, please take my knee off. Unknowingly, have the group of friends become so powerful? Ah ha ha, I'm still a little trash. Boss, can you give me a guide on the forum? Boss, what is your talent? How many stars are it? As soon as Wang Meng's photo came out, hundreds of messages immediately followed. As expected, showing off in front of a group of friends is the most satisfying thing. Seeing the group of friends asking questions, he could only reply. My talent is quite average, it's just muscle strengthening. I won't do any guides or anything like that, I just rely on my usual hard work and a little bit of luck. I believe that everyone can do it as long as they work hard and overcome the fear in their hearts. Quote. He didn't talk about his talent for fear of offending his group friends. There is actually no need for strategies or anything like that. His ability to hunt blue crabs is entirely due to his physical fitness, which exceeds 10 times the limit of human beings. If he didn't have a strong physical fitness like him, he wouldn't even be able to break through the blue crab's defense. After saying this, he saw that the popularity in the group was almost over, and quickly asked everyone to collect daily necessities for himself. Sure enough, after he posted his handsome photo, everyone started replying to him. Unfortunately, toilet paper and other daily necessities are considered useless in the eyes of the group, and almost no one takes them with them when traveling. Until the end, he was lucky enough to find a group of friends to exchange a portion of crab sticks for 5 bags of instant noodles. Looking at the Lao Tan pickled cabbage noodles in front of him, saliva kept flowing out between his tongue, and he sighed. Through photos displayed by the group of friends, he found that almost most of them were wearing Special Forces combat uniforms and were well prepared with supplies. When he asked just now, it turned out that all the friends in the group had defected to the country. Before crossing over, the country also helped them learn various survival knowledge. No wonder, when he was browsing the forum, he discovered that all the group members suddenly turned into technical geeks. Today, even the method of making hand-rubbed missiles was posted on the forum. It turns out that the group of friends has already embraced the country, and it turns out that he is the only one in the world who has been struggling to survive on a desert island. Looking at the handsome Special Forces combat uniforms and various advanced survival tools in the group photos, Wang Meng was really envious. He looked down at the crooked slime underwear he had made, and then looked up at the slum-like doghouse. Want to cry but no tears. In the past, he sneered at instant noodles and would even curse, even dogs wouldn't eat this stuff. And now, because he got several bags of instant noodles, he was almost moved to tears. When can I go back? I've really had enough of this shabby island. I also want to embrace the country's lap. Wang Meng was lying on his bed of leaves, getting angrier and angrier as he thought about it. I can't stand it. He stood up and rushed out with his 2-meter-long fish bone. The night is dark and the stars are high, on a huge beach. Several black armored beasts were happily playing games together. Every few seconds, the black armored beast stopped and looked around cautiously. There was a nasty pervert on the beach recently. Whenever they are in the mood of happiness, it sneaks over and attacks them. Recently, many of its kind have died at its hands. Suddenly, the female black armored beast beneath her wagged her tail and let out a dissatisfied cry. This is no fun at all. Just when the black armored beasts were enjoying the ultimate happiness, a sharp fish bone suddenly fell from the sky and directly penetrated the young black armored beast couple. The two insects were together forever. Although the young black armored couple were very careful when having secret love, they were eventually found by someone and died happily. Ding! Kill the black armored beast and experience +3. Ding! The experience of killing the black armored beast is +2, and the level is raised to LV4. Wang Meng's body shimmered slightly, and as his level increased, the depression in his heart was swept away. It's great. Sure enough, the liver level makes people feel happy physically and mentally. Once again, all the free attributes were added to the Constitution, and the Constitution directly reached 25 points. This is equivalent to 2.5 times the physical strength of the world's extreme athletes. With such powerful basic attributes, if he were to use little magic bottle and lemon fish bone marrow to superimpose primary muscle strengthening, his strength would probably reach a completely inhuman level. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Actually, it's good not to be able to go back. If they stay for 3 days, they have to recuperate in the real world for 7 days. But I can never go back, and the development time is several times longer than theirs. I am now the fastest player in the entire server to upgrade, awesome. Just when he was excited, he suddenly remembered the 100-meter giant ape that came to eat on the beach before. Even though he has become a lot stronger now, he is still too weak in front of such a terrifying giant. No matter how thick my gun is, can it still be too high? Shaking his head, his excited and swollen heart instantly cooled down. In this giant island, he is just a bigger ant now, and he will continue to be cautious in the future. After decomposing the body of the black armored beast, packing up his equipment, he returned to his stone-cracked home again. After posting a few hunting pictures in the group and bragging about his skills with his friends, he immediately started learning on the forum. In the past 2 days, he suddenly discovered that many technical posts in the forum were extremely valuable. Because of his special situation, he cannot return to Blue Star. Therefore, a lot of wilderness survival knowledge is particularly important to him. Such as how to build a shelter, how to make traps, how to make furniture from stone and wood. Looking at the posts in the forum, he couldn't help but frown when he turned to an article about building a survival shelter at the seaside in the wild. The sea in this world seems to have no high or low tides, so my Shirjiao family can usually get by. But if, as the forum says, there is a sudden heavy rain, then my doghouse will die immediately. Quote, he originally chose this place because of fresh water and safety issues. But now his strength has become much stronger and he no longer has to be limited to one place. The terrain here is too low. I need to find a better place, so I will use this place as a backup reservoir. After thinking for a long time, he made up his mind to find a new place with larger space and higher ground to build a shelter in the crevices of the rocks. After studying for 3 hours, Wang Meng fell exhausted and fell asleep on the bed of leaves. He had never taken school so seriously before, and he didn't expect that he would have to stay up late to study after traveling to another world. The next day, it was just dawn. Wang Meng packed up his equipment and climbed out from the crack in the rocks again. His main goal today was not to hunt, but to examine the surrounding terrain and pick up some materials to build a shelter. He stopped and walked along the way and picked up a lot of stones according to the forum, which were all preparations for building a shelter later. During this period, he also encountered a few blue crabs and killed them directly along the way. At this time, Wang Meng was lying behind a huge rock. He cautiously stuck his head out and looked ahead. On a high ground a few hundred meters away, several small mountain-like rocks were stacked together. Not only is this place high enough, it is also further away from the sea, and there are even several giant trees surrounding it as a shield. He walked around for a day and found that this could be said to be the most suitable place to build a shelter within a radius of 5 kilometers. But, a good place like this already had its owner. A giant green crab 10 meters tall is crawling and resting in the crevices of the rocks. Not only is its body larger than other blue crabs, its carapace is also thicker, with countless bumpy carapace spines attached to its carapace, making it look even more ferocious. This thing is difficult to deal with at first sight. Wang Meng sighed. He had never killed such a big blue crab before, and he didn't feel confident. Although this world is a bit like a game, it is more like the real world in many places. If he was accidentally injured during the battle with this big guy, I'm afraid the risk of infection would be very high. And if the wound becomes infected on this deserted island, and he has no anti-infective drugs, there is a high probability that he will just burp. After hesitating for a long time, Wang Meng slowly retreated. There was still plenty of time, so he didn't have to rush. Go back to Shitu's home, set up the shell pot, and pick a fresh big watermelon. Wang Meng was browsing the forum and eating crab meat. He was just about to lie down on his bed of leaves when he found that the entire leaf bed was filled with water drops. Isn't it? Is this the tide? The word O*********** was a long time ago in his memory. When I was a child, I lived at my grandma's house on the first floor. Every time before a heavy rain, the ground would become tidal. This is a natural phenomenon. Whenever it occurs, it means there will be heavy rain soon. Just like when ants move, it will rain. That night, he slept very uncomfortable because the entire stone crevice was very damp. The next day, he got up early. Look outside. Sure enough, the whole sky was gloomy. His brows were furrowed and he was worried. Everything in this world is very huge, and I am like a small ant. He has never seen what heavy rain looks like in this world. What if this heavy rain is also a giant version? He felt bad when he thought that every drop of rain in the sky was as big as a car and was falling densely from an altitude of 10,000 meters. He looked back at his small shabby stone house. If it really were this giant version of a heavy rain, I would probably either be crushed to death by the rain or drowned in the crevices of the rocks. No, I have to move quickly. Wang Meng stood up and quickly started packing his things. Leaf bed, no more, I'll pick it up later. Shell pot, no more. Watermelon seedling, tear it and turn it back into a seed. After walking around in a circle, Wang Meng sadly discovered that his house was completely bare and had nothing. Forget it, I don't want this sad place. After saying that, Wang Meng hurried out alone. Soon, he came to the place where he observed the blue crabs yesterday again. He clenched the fish bone in his hand and his eyes became firm. Originally he didn't want to take the risk, but the rain forced him to do it. But today he came here and had done his homework in advance. He has been constantly searching around to find a suitable terrain in advance. After getting familiar with the surrounding terrain, he sneakily crawled towards the blue crab's nest. I am too small, and I will definitely be at a disadvantage when fighting these giant monsters head-on. But similarly, body shape is also its own advantage. In suitable terrain, the compact size will become more flexible. And now, what he wants to do is guide this big blue crab to a suitable terrain, limit its movement, and then kill it with one blow. At this time, the blue crab is not in the nest. It is probably still looking for food outside. Wang Meng sneaked over, then climbed onto a boulder and waited quietly. This lay down lasted for an hour. The sky became gloomier, with black clouds pressing in the sky, as if they wanted to crush the entire desert island. Long wait. Finally, the huge blue crab slowly crawled back. A huge body over 10 meters high, with two giant pincers waving around like two cars. Every time it crawls, the surroundings will vibrate slightly. And on a boulder, Wang Meng lay on the rocks and quietly looked at the blue crabs passing by below. After swallowing, I looked at the blue crab from a closer distance and felt even more terrifying. But while he was scared, his adrenaline was also soaring. If you could kill such a huge thing with your own hands, that would be awesome. Holding the 2-meter-long fish bone in his hand, his whole body was trembling with excitement. Primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening. As he continued to use his skills, his entire body continued to expand like a balloon. My own talent. No cooldown superposition actually has two effects. One is that the skill has no cooldown, and the other is that the skill status can be superimposed infinitely. It was the latter that gave him the confidence to face this terrifying giant. Primary muscle strengthening 25 times, muscle increase degree 500%. At this time, Wang Meng had transformed into a muscular giant of more than 2 meters. His head was small, but the muscles all over his body were constantly stacked, making his body huge and huge. Drink another bottle of organal fish bone marrow and your energy will be restored to full instantly. Primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening. Primary muscle strengthening 30 times, muscle increase degree 600%. Wang Meng's body swelled again, and the muscles in his body were constantly squirming like insects. Thump, thump, thump. His heart was beating rapidly, like an engine roaring in his chest. His skin turned red, and the rapid flow of blood caused bursts of heat to radiate from his body. Wang Meng's muscle liberation state. Red muscle weirdo. He exhaled a puff of white air, scattering dust around him. This feels great. Wang Meng excitedly clenched the fish bone in his hand. Just now he was a little unsure and hesitant. But now, the power bursting out of his muscles made him feel like he was capable of anything. Collapse. A leap of faith. Wang Meng's burly figure fell from the sky. He held the fish bone tightly with both hands, exerted force with both arms, bowed his waist like a snake, and roared wildly. I am invincible. Die to me. This blow was like a meteor falling to the ground, and the huge impact turned into reality, causing ripples in the air. Just one hit. The terrifying impact smashed the 10-meter-tall blue crab deeply into the ground. A puff of dust kicked up. I saw a 2-meter-long huge fish bone inserted directly into the vertical eye of the blue crab, penetrating through it. Billy! A wail of pain echoed through the sky. The blue crab's huge body swung away, and Wang Meng flew away from its back. It shook its head in pain. The blow just now not only blinded one of its eyes, but also sunken half of its head. Its only remaining vertical eye turned and glared at Wang Meng in front of it. I was actually bitten by such a little bug. It's unforgivable, unforgivable. Billy! It roared angrily, and the sound was so loud that sound waves even surrounded its mouth. When Wang Meng was thrown away by him, he had already used his strength to turn around and run away. This sneak attack went more smoothly than he imagined. This big guy was blind in one eye, and it would be easier to deal with it later. I feel a little happy in my heart. Suddenly, there was a harsh sound in the air, which made the hair on his body stand up instantly. It seemed as if some danger was approaching rapidly. Danger, danger. The sixth sense is warning you crazy. He didn't have time to turn around, and his body instinctively jumped to the left. Even though he responded quickly at the first opportunity, it was still a little late. A water cannon the size of a locomotive spurted out from behind him, and the huge potential energy scraped through his body, causing him to hit the stone wall in the distance like a cannonball. He shook his head and got up from the ground. Looking back at his back, he saw that the blue crab shield on his back was completely dented. He was just scratched by a water cannon, but he actually had such power. Dry. Looking up, I saw that the big green crab was brewing again in its mouth, and it was about to spray water cannon again. When Wang Meng saw this scene, he quickly turned around and ran away. Are you mistaken? This big guy can actually do magic. This is unscientific. But it is what it is. As Wang Meng kept jumping between the cracks in the rocks to escape, water cannons as huge as locomotives kept attacking. The water cannon was not only big, but also very fast. Every time it hit the surrounding earth and rocks, it exploded. Wang Meng had to start his snake-walking position. He used the surrounding terrain to constantly avoid the attacks of water cannons. The blue crab in the distance was a little annoyed. This little bug ran too fast. Like a cannon hitting a mosquito, his powerful attacks never hit him. Seeing the little bug in front of him running further and further away, it suddenly roared angrily. This bug must not be allowed to escape. It will trample him to death with its own hands and then eat his body to avenge its eye-piercing. The 8 giant legs kept waving, and the huge body collided left and right like a bulldozer. The blue crab was chasing Wang Meng at an extremely fast speed. For a time, on the pile of rocks on the beach, figures large and small were chasing each other, and the distance was getting closer and closer. While running for his life, Wang Meng took out another bottle of oregano fish bone marrow and drank it. With his current physical condition, drinking 2 bottles in a row is already his limit. Primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening, primary muscle strengthening. The state of primary muscle strengthening can only last for 60 seconds. He must maintain a certain level of superposition to prepare for the battle that will take place later. Almost there, right in front. In front, 2 huge rocks are stacked together, forming a huge natural stone gap. For Wang Meng, the gap was huge and he could easily pass through it. But for that big blue crab, this is a narrow alley. Once you enter, it will be difficult to even turn around. He glanced back and quickly chased the blue crab. It was impossible for it to catch up at this distance. The muscles in his thighs swelled and his feet accelerated. Wang Meng's body became faster and he suddenly plunged into the gap. At this time, the blue crab had already been blinded by anger. It never thought that such a small insect could kill itself. Just like a cat seeing a mouse, it never thinks that the mouse can bite it to death. This is the confidence that comes from a superior predator. The huge body collided violently, and the big blue crab rushed into the gap. The gap was a bit small for it, but it didn't matter, the little bug was right in front of him. The blue crab's giant truck-like claws were raised high and slammed down, directly creating a deep hole in the ground. Although this blow was extremely powerful, Wang Mang easily dodged it. In this narrow gap, the identities of Wang Mang and Blue Crab have been exchanged. This is now his home court. Wang Mang stepped back and took out a huge fish bone from his space backpack again. The legs sink, the waist exerts force, and the body leans back. He makes the most perfect throw like an athlete. Whoosh! A harsh sound broke through the air, and a huge fish bone shot out like a javelin, piercing the blue crab's face. Billy! The painful cry came, and the blue crab never thought that this little thing had such a method. Before it could react, several more fish bones flew towards it in an instant, all piercing its face. Billy! Billy! A few roars. The huge pain made the blue crab really angry. It kept waving its two giant claws and squeezed forward in the narrow gap with all its strength. It's going to kill this nasty bug now. But Wang Mang was more agile than it. He kept throwing fish bones while retreating. At the same time, his brows also wrinkled slightly. This blue crab's defense was so strong that most of the fish bones he just threw were blocked by its hard carapace. Only those that hit the face and abdomen can cause some damage to the blue crabs. And as it continued to be injured, the blue crab quickly became better behaved. It blocked the body with two giant claws to resist the attack of the fish bones. At the same time, its figure is constantly retreating, and it seems to be giving up revenge. Wang Mang smiled softly. Now that he has fallen into this trap, if he wants to get out, it is not up to you. The time for primary muscle strengthening is coming soon, and he must do it quickly. Taking out the long axe from his back, Wang Mang no longer retreated, but dived towards the blue crab like a cheetah. He instantly reached the abdomen and tail of the blue crab and found the location of the excretion port. This should be its weakest point. Ah, I'll kill you. A loud shout. The muscles of the arm exerted force, and the long axe was thrust in violently. He wanted to use this as a breakthrough point to directly disembowel the blue crab. At this time, the blue crab was still looking for Wang Mang, and a strong sense of uneasiness suddenly arose in its heart. This was an instinctive reaction from living creatures. But the narrow stone crevice was so crowded that it couldn't even turn around. Just when it panicked, suddenly, its only vertical eye stood high, full of incredulity. An extreme pain came from its anus. Billy! Beep! There! Compared to the domineering roar before, this painful howl was heartbreaking. Finally, the blue crab escaped from the crack in the stone. The instinct of survival made it burst out with huge power, and finally escaped from Wang Mang's clutches. But at this moment, its whole body was covered with fish spines like a hedgehog. Its abdomen, from its chrysanthemum to its chest, had a large opening, and liquid was constantly slipping from it. The blue crab stumbled around, dragging its heavy body to escape, running towards its home. In the distance, Wang Mang was hanging far behind the blue crab. This blue crab has been seriously injured. Without special recovery abilities, it may weaken and die soon. The beast's dying counterattack is very violent, and he will not push this blue crab to a desperate situation. Slowly wearing it down is the best choice. Moreover, his muscle strengthening state has also disappeared, and his energy has been exhausted. Even if we go up now, we probably can't win. In this way, Wang Mang followed the blue crab back to the nest. He was lying on a high place like a lone wolf, staring ambitiously. The blue crab dragged its exhausted body back to its nest, feeling that it was getting weaker and weaker. It seems like something is constantly being lost from the body. Its only vertical eye turned and stared in Wang Mang's direction. In fact, it had already discovered Wang Mang following behind it. But it can't do anything, it's too weak. It knows that this hateful bug is waiting for its own death and wants to eat itself after its death. Time passed by minute by minute. The giant crab lies in the crevices of the rocks. Wang Mang, on the other hand, was hiding on a boulder from a distance, watching eagerly. Hunter and prey look at each other. They are all waiting for the final moment to come. One is waiting for harvest. One is waiting for death. The dark clouds in the sky became thicker. The air became humid and oppressive. Sudden, a drop of rain the size of a car fell rapidly from the sky. It slammed into the middle of Wang Mang and the blue crab. The rainy season has finally arrived. At this time, the chat group has exploded. Brothers, it's raining here. I've never seen such heavy rain in my life. I feel like I'm about to die. I was just hit by a drop of rain and now I've been vomiting blood. As he spoke, his profile picture suddenly dimmed. Brother upstairs, are you still there? Brother, are you okay? The chat group suddenly went quiet. There are more than 50,000 people in this group, which is usually very lively, but now few people reply to the message. I'm afraid most people are trying to find ways to escape this heavy rain. And as time passed by, people's avatars continued to become dim. A sudden heavy rain in this other world caused heavy losses to all Blue Star people. It seems like humans have literally turned into tiny ants. A heavy rain is a fatal natural disaster for them. Wang Mang sat among the rocks. A bonfire was lit in front of him. In the end he won. When the heavy rain came, the blue crab finally couldn't hold on anymore and closed his eyes in advance. And the harvest this time is also very rich. Not only obtained various materials. And he also revealed the first blue treasure chest in his life. Open the space backpack and take out a treasure chest emitting blue fluorescence. Ding, leap level, kill the elite monster blue crab and get a blue treasure box. Treasure chest, random type. Quality, blue excellent. Effect, a gift from the Sea of End after killing a powerful monster. Rating, 2 stars. It turns out that killing monsters can really open treasure chests. Those before were probably too weak and not qualified enough. Wang Mang was thoughtful. Opening the treasure chest, a stream of light flashed across, and there were only 4 items left in front of him. Ding, get the Hunter Medal. Equipment, Hunter Medal. Type, accessories. Quality, blue excellent. Attributes, physique +2, spirit +2, energy +5. Effect, after wearing the Hunter Medal, you will become sharper in hunting. Rating, 2 stars. Ding, get a blue quality wisdom grass. Item, wisdom grass. Type, spirit grass. Quality, blue excellent. Attribute, disposable consumables. Effect, after taking it, it can increase memory and comprehension within 1 hour, and greatly improve learning ability and master various skills in a short period of time. Rating, 2 stars. Ding, get a blue crab egg. Pet, blue crab egg. Quality, white ordinary. Effect, blue crabs living in the cracks of rocks on the beach only need a suitable temperature to break out of their shells. Rating, 1.5 stars. Ding, 3 first-level experience books. Type, experience book. Quality, white ordinary. Effect, after use, you will instantly gain 100 experience points. Rating, 1 star. Wang Mang picked up the Hunter Medal and took it with him. This thing is good, the basic attributes are all good. He picked up the basketball-sized crab egg in front of him again, a little confused. Do crabs lay eggs? He had only eaten them before, but he had never seen them lay eggs. But now that we are in a different world, it makes sense to lay eggs. Finally he picked up the experience book. This thing was so familiar. In the past, when I was playing the mobile game, Original Demon, I would hoe the earth for this thing every day, and my liver would burst a few times. Use. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 experience books turned into a stream of light and rushed into his body. Ding, experience plus 300. He nodded. He had a good harvest from hunting blue crabs this time. Not only did he get a treasure chest, but it also increased his experience points a lot. I guess it won't be long before I can upgrade again. He was a little excited at the thought of upgrading. The liver level was the most addictive. But, he looked up and looked outside. The entire island was covered with dark clouds and heavy rain poured down. If this was just an ordinary rainstorm, forget it. But if every raindrop is as big as a car, it would be a horrific doomsday disaster. This is no longer called rain, it is simply like God splashing water in the sky. Looking at the rain trend, it is estimated that his upgrade plan will be postponed again. Fortunately, the terrain of his newly chosen home is very high, so all the rainwater flows down the rocks, and the cracks in the rocks are still relatively dry. He built a simple stone bed in a corner with stone slabs, then lay down and opened the chat group. As soon as they entered, they found the crowd wailing. Who will save me? The rain is so heavy, I feel like I'm drowning. The shelter I just dug was smashed to pieces by just 1 drop of rain. Fortunately, I found a relatively high place in advance. Why are there still monsters taking shelter here? It's over. Mom, I want to go home. Who will save me? Woo woo. I am very beautiful. I am willing to devote myself. Everyone, hurry up the tree, find a tree hole and hide. The usually cheerful chat group suddenly turned into a mournful one. Wang Meng suddenly realized that it was not raining here alone. Instead, all Blue Star people are facing heavy rains. He frowned and thought a lot. What is going on in this world? Obviously, everyone is in different places, and the environment they arrive in is also very different. But now everyone is facing heavy rain. Could it be said? In fact, all 100,000 of them are on this desert island. It's just because the desert island is too big and there are too many monsters, so they are all scattered. Thinking of this, a light suddenly lit up in his heart. Looking up at the pouring rain outside. When the rain stopped this time, he immediately reached level 5 and walked out of the beach. It was too lonely for him to live alone on a desert island. He wanted to find his compatriots who were left behind everywhere. I took another look at the chat group, and saw that the group members were still sending messages for help everywhere. But Wang Meng had nothing to do with these calls for help. Now he can only protect himself. Exit the chat group and open the forum. On the forum, various rainstorm survival strategies are now appearing overwhelmingly. Many people are leaving messages below to help each other. Wang Meng was not interested in these rainstorm survival strategies. He found a technical post about learning to swim, a technical post about building a shelter, and a technical post about making traps. Since it was raining heavily outside and hunting upgrades were no longer possible, he decided to learn various survival knowledge at home to prepare for the future. The heavy rain continued all day and all night. Of the more than 50,000 people in the chat group, only 40,000 survived. Some of them were swallowed by monsters while hiding from the rain, some were directly killed by raindrops, and many were washed away by the raging rain and died in the torrent. The atmosphere in the chat group was dull for a while, and even Wang Meng didn't send a message. He walked out of the crack in the stone and looked at the bright sunshine outside, his whole body ready to go. As a former little prince who chased the sea, he knew clearly that after every heavy rain, the beach would always be full of rewards. He holds a fish bone in his hand, carries a blue crab shield on his back, and hangs a long axe and a shovel behind the shield. It's time to catch the sea. Wang Meng shouted softly, leaned against the stone wall, and walked towards the beach. As we get closer and closer to the seaside, we can indeed see monsters everywhere. The beach was bustling with activity at this time. Even the black armored beasts that usually move at night all came out of the sand. After the heavy rain, a large number of underwater creatures in the sea washed up on the beach. Giant kelp hundreds to thousands of meters long, shellfish the size of a house, dead fish tens of meters long, a large number of giant conches and starfish. At this time, many black armored beasts and blue crabs were densely gathered on the beach. This is a rare feast for them. Wang Meng was hiding on a pile of rocks in the distance, his eyes shining. This octopus is so big, it's 50 meters long, right? This is as big as a boat. Is it an abalone? This is a lobster. It's bigger than a tank. Watching the black armored beast and the blue crabs enjoying their food on the beach, Wang Meng was eager to give it a try. These are all good things, but it is such a waste to be eaten like this. But even though he was very jealous, he still hid in the crevices of the rocks and did not go out. He must observe for a while to ensure absolute safety. Don't fail to catch the sea by yourself, only to be driven to the sea by other big guys. After observing for more than an hour, he found a place where there were relatively few monsters and touched it. Several black armored beasts were eating happily with their heads down. Every time after a heavy rain, they could always pick up a free meal. This was really a happy day. Several huge fish bones fell from the sky, directly pinning all the black armored beasts to the ground. Ding! Kill 3 black armored beasts, experience +9. Soon, Wang Meng sneaked over and decomposed all the seafood that rushed up, as well as the corpses of the 3 black armored beasts. The black armored beast that once scared him and required all-out efforts could now be easily killed by him. That's all. Killing black armored beasts, picking up seafood, over and over again. In one morning, he slaughtered at least more than 40 black armored beasts, obtained a large amount of monster materials, and gained more than 120 experience points. Well, this experience is getting harder and harder to gain. It is very difficult to upgrade in this world. Not only will the monsters not be refreshed after killing them, powerful behemoths will always appear around him, interrupting his hunting. Moreover, because he has been hunting a large number of black armored beasts recently, these bugs have become very alert, making them more difficult to hunt. However, today it was much easier than usual for him to dig holes and find the black armored beast. Not bad. I won't eat lunch. I want to get my liver to level 5 here. Wang Meng made up his mind, today is a rare opportunity. Perhaps because there are too many seafood on the beach and sufficient food, these black armored beasts and blue crabs have very low desire to attack. He must seize this opportunity and upgrade his hunting quickly. Hunting until near dusk, Wang Meng killed more than 40 black armored beasts and 7 or 8 small blue crabs, gaining more than 160 experience points. At this time, he had stopped hunting and was hiding on a big rock. Far away, a blue crab over 10 meters long was crawling slowly, dragging its injured body away from the coast. For some unknown reason, one of its large pincers and all 4 legs were broken off, and there was also a big hole in its back. It is estimated that it had a conflict with other monsters on the way to catch the overseas goods. Wang Meng lay on the big rock and narrowed his eyes slightly. In the past, when he encountered such a giant thing, he always walked around it for fear of being discovered by the other party. But after completing his first kill yesterday, he is now very interested in this elite monster. Exploding materials is so boring, what he wants is to explode treasure chests. As soon as his eyes narrowed, he picked up the fish bone in his hand and rushed out like a cheetah. Compared to the big guy yesterday, this injured one was obviously much weaker. Wang Meng's combat power was at full strength, and he directly slid under it with a shovel. Aiming the axe at the chrysanthemum, inserting it, and then slashing hard, a huge gash was made in the entire belly of the blue crab, and red and white flowed all over the floor. Then he quickly distanced himself and kept throwing fish bones at the blue crab. In a dozen breaths, he turned the crab into a hedgehog. Ding! Leap level, kill the elite monster blue crab, experience plus 35, and get a white treasure box. As the blue crab's huge body fell, a white treasure box floated above its body. It's great. The treasure chest has been exploded again. Wang Meng roared excitedly in a low voice. This was even better than drawing cards and withdrawing gold in Original Demon. He quickly ran over and opened the treasure chest, only to reveal a few first-level experience books and some ores. It seems that not every white treasure chest has explosive equipment. After decomposing the blue crab's body, he hurriedly left. This time he did not go back to the beach to hunt, but went directly back to his lair because his energy in the little magic bottle had been used up. Without a trump card, this beach is still too dangerous for him. Wang Meng kept jumping between the stones. He raised his hands high and jumped back home with an oyster the size of a bathtub. He had eaten a lot of oysters, but he had never eaten oysters as big as a bathtub. When he returned to his new home, he moved a few boulders and blocked the gaps. Compared with the small and shabby kennel before, his new home is very large, and the space inside is at least the size of a basketball court. And looking up, the natural stone cave also forms a skylight, which can let in weak light. He used several boulders to set up a fire, then lit the dead trees he picked up and threw them in. When the flames were strong enough, he put oysters the size of a bathtub directly on top. Not long after, a delicious smell filled the entire space, making his mouth water. He was tired of eating worm meat and blue crabs every day, and he could finally change his taste today. He carefully took out his treasured Lao Tan pickled cabbage instant noodles from the crack in the stone, which he got in exchange for in the chat group last time. Take out the pickled cabbage package from the instant noodles and carefully place the other seasoning packages. Life on a deserted island was so miserable that he even had to eat the instant noodles seasoning package several times. Squatting in the corner, eating pickled cabbage buns and instant noodles and munching on oysters. As he ate, his eyes became moist. He is so stupid. He used to always quarrel with his parents and dislike the food they cooked. Now that he has been on this desert island for more than 10 days, he suddenly feels how happy he was before. No, how can a man cry whenever he wants? I want to strengthen myself, I want to save myself. Sooner or later, I will step on this desert island under my feet and conquer this sea. Even if I swim, I will swim back. Endless beach. Under 2 boulders. The boy was cursing while eating instant noodles. He spoke grand words, telling about the longing for relatives. Early the next morning, players are offline again. Although everyone was well prepared, a heavy rain disrupted everyone's plans. More than 10,000 players have died in the game's other world. At this time, inside a high school in Blue Star, 3 black armored beasts suddenly appeared in the playground. It has an exaggerated body like a calf, with jaws that can easily tear apart steel. The black carapace glows with a metallic luster in the sunlight. The 2 pairs of tentacles on their heads are constantly shaking, feeling the breath of this strange world. What is this? Holy shit, what a big ant. Several high school students had just finished playing basketball, wearing vests and sweating profusely. The smell of sweat reached the black armored beasts, making them ready to move. Grumble, it smells like food. The huge body began to move quickly, and 3 terrifying black armored beasts rushed over. Holy shit, run. Several handsome high school students reacted very quickly, but compared with these giant ants, they were still too slow. Puff. Blood sprayed on the playground, and several frightened heads rolled to the ground. 3 high school students, suddenly, in a certain first-tier city. The pedestrian street is bustling with activity. Today is the weekend, and there are many people going shopping. A young couple is queuing up to buy milk tea. Suddenly, the sun seemed to be blocked by something. The boyfriend looked back and saw a giant crab 5 to 6 meters high appearing behind him. The 2 tall vertical eyes rotated, the giant pincers the size of door panels were slowly raised, and the terrifying big mouth was still making beeping sounds. Weird, monster. Before he finished speaking, huge pliers pinched him in half at the waist, and his internal organs and intestines were spilled all over the floor. The milk tea in his hand fell to the ground and blood sprayed on his face. At this time, his girlfriend was completely frightened. While the blue crab picked up her boyfriend and nibbled it affectionately, he gently waved the other giant claw, and instantly clamped her in half. Billy, Billy. Red blood slowly spread on the ground, and the cute gnawing sound echoed in the street, making people's hair stand on end. Ah, weird, monster, run. The entire pedestrian street was boiling instantly. Everyone was running as fast as they could, and the employees of the milk tea shop climbed out of the counter, turned around and ran away. But there were too many people on the pedestrian street, and a stampede soon occurred, and the casualties became more serious. Seeing the hot dogs running away with their backs turned to it, the blue crab suddenly became excited. The instinct in the genes gives it a strong desire to prey. 8 huge legs intertwined with each other, and 2 giant pincers the size of door panels were waving everywhere. Clamp, clamp, clamp. For a time, flesh and blood were flying, and heads were rolling everywhere. The blue crabs that were easily hunted by Wong Meng actually went crazy in Blue Star. 826 Underground Secret Base. In a huge command room. Countless screens are flashing. Through high-altitude satellites, all emergency pictures across the country are transmitted here. Report, there are 48 monster invasions in City A. Report, there are 56 monster invasions in City B. Report, 18 monster invasions appeared in Wonglong Mountain. Report, Li Yong frowned as he looked at the messages coming up one after another. How could this happen? Haven't players already been given survival training? But the frequency of these monster invasions is too frequent. What happened to the players? Haven't they already received professional survival training? How could so many people die again? Everyone, please contact the local police and special forces to evacuate residents. Tell the local police and we will send professionals to contain these monsters as soon as possible so that they do not have to panic. Contact the propaganda department and ask them to grasp the direction of online public opinion, provide correct guidance to prevent the emergence of national panic. Contact the relevant departments to resolutely crack down on all hoarding behavior. We will never tolerate those merchants who are making it difficult for the country to make money. Contact the principals of major superpower universities. I want to know now what happened to the players. Quote. At this time, all players have returned. In Xuanshan Super High School in an uninhabited mountainous area. Principal Chen was frowning. 3 days passed, and the players finally came back. But, of the 3,521 people in the school, only more than 2,700 came back alive. More than 1,000 of them suffered varying degrees of injuries. In just 3 days, the casualty rate was as high as 50%, and the mortality rate exceeded 20%. This other world is more dangerous than he imagined. And this is only the data from their Schwanshan Superpower High School. There are more than 100 colleges and universities like this in Daxia. I don't know how many people will die. Dingle bell. Dingle bell. Suddenly, the office phone rang. Principal Chen took one look and quickly took it. Hey, Major General Wang. Alas, it's me. Principal Chen, news has arrived from above. A large number of alien monster invasions have appeared across the country. Preliminary estimates indicate that there have been more than 100,000 cases, hundreds of thousands of casualties. These monsters all appear randomly. Except for some monsters that appear in mountains and uninhabited areas, those that appear in cities have caused a large number of casualties. This time, the above plan has been approved. Qianlong plan has officially begun to be implemented. I now need you to prepare a list. Okay, I will definitely cooperate. After hanging up the phone, Principal Chen's expression became more serious. More than 100,000 monsters from another world suddenly descended across the country, causing hundreds of thousands of deaths and injuries, and this figure continues to rise. At the same time, the monsters that descended this time were obviously more powerful than before, and some could even ignore the attacks of small thermal weapons. The Qianlong project actually passed. So, are the people above really planning to create gods? Principal Chen is worried. If the Qianlong project really starts, what will the world look like after that? He picked up the file, hurriedly left the office and walked to the training room where the player was. City A, pedestrian street. Blue crabs 5 to 6 meters high are rampant in the commercial streets. At this time, more than a dozen police cars had surrounded it. Hundreds of policemen all pointed their guns at it, and fire snakes flew around, shooting continuously. But under its hard carapace, the damage from these bullets is extremely limited. And due to the rules of the game, Blue Star's weapons can't kill it at all, and the gun holes on its body are recovering very quickly. Several new policemen fired tremblingly. They have been coming to the unit for several years, and they usually help residents mediate disputes, find lost mobile phones, or find lost kittens. Normally they don't even carry guns. But how come they are here to fight monsters after not seeing each other for a few days? This is too magical. They are just policemen. Policemen, not Ultraman. Gunshots continued to sound, and sparks shot out from the blue crab. Although the bullet cannot cause much damage to the blue crab, its huge impact still limits its movement. Several helicopters approached quickly from a distance. Heavily armed special forces descended from the slide. Heavy machine guns were set up and individual rocket launchers were fired continuously. In an instant, the giant crab 5 to 6 meters high in front of him was blown to pieces. All personnel retreat. All personnel retreat. We are taking over this place now. Leave quickly, leave quickly. The National Special Forces are finally here. All the surrounding police officers breathed a sigh of relief. They retreated and dispersed the onlookers. Let's go, let's go. Aren't you afraid of death? Are you still here taking pictures on Douyin and posting on WeChat moments? The crowd had just been dispersed, and the blue crab that had just been blown into pieces instantly returned to its original state. It comes to life. Under the protection of the rules of the game, it cannot be killed. All personnel prepared, heavy machine gun fire, aimed at its feet. The sniper is ready to destroy the target's vision and prepare for containment. Quote. The blue crab has just come back to life and is still a little confused. Billy. As soon as it let out a cry, several heavy machine guns broke off its 8 legs. With 2 loud noises, a sniper 100 meters away shot out its eyes. At this time, a helicopter had flown over its head, and a huge iron cage suddenly fell down, shutting it tightly. Soon after, a huge military truck slowly left the pedestrian street. In the cabin of the truck, violent crashes were heard from time to time. Principal Chen came to the training room of super players. There are injured people everywhere. Contrary to the warm atmosphere before the time travel, almost everyone is now depressed. Zhang Xiaolong was lying on the bed with empty eyes. He almost died in the heavy rain yesterday. That world was too dangerous. Although he was lucky enough to survive this time, he didn't think he could always be so lucky. At this moment, Principal Chen walked to the podium. Everyone, welcome back alive. Principal Chen paused, and everyone raised their heads and looked at the podium. I am your Principal Chen. I know everyone is tired, but I still want to announce an important news to you now. Just now, my boss gave me a notification. From now on, the country will officially begin to implement the Qianlong plan. If the player dies in another world, the monster will return to the real world instead of the player. Now there are countless monsters raging all over the country, and the people are living in water and fire. Our country needs it now. Someone step up. Because only players can kill these monsters. Principal Chen stood on the podium and spoke impassionedly. He hopes players can help the government hunt down monsters in the real world. But after talking for a long time, most of the players below were indifferent. Players know best how powerful these monsters are. Is it crazy to use your life to protect others? They can't even protect themselves, and they don't know if they can survive the next time they travel. How can they have the energy to protect ordinary people? But, in this world, there are always people with passion. Zhang Xiaolong slowly raised his hand. Although he was just a stinky butcher, he wanted to do something meaningful. After all, he doesn't know when he will die in another world. Instead of dying like this, he might as well be a hero. As he raised his hand, many people began to raise their hands one after another. Principal Chen smiled happily. There were more people than he expected. He took away these people who voluntarily participated in the Qianlong project, and quickly disappeared into the corridor. Under the shadow, Principal Chen's black-rimmed glasses were somewhat reflective, making it difficult to see his eyes clearly. In fact, he was hiding something just now. Qianlong plan is one of the most important plans in China at present. How could it be so simple? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.